going on, everybody? And thank you for joining us for another edition of The Bare Minimum. What's going on, Dustin? How you feel?
I feel good, man. It's a late Thursday night, ready to talk some Bears and whatever else you want to get into, man. Should be a lot of fun. Everybody in the chat that joins us, please jump in, hit that like, subscribe if you haven't already, and let us know what you're thinking, what you want to talk about tonight. What up, Ant Mass?
This,
How you doing?
this is going to be a fun show, guys. I'm excited to do it. I was excited today putting it together. Dustin, I know we talked about there's something at the end of this that we're both kind of intrigued to do. Um, I want to start with some very minor Bears news, but it is news, right? The Bears did sign three players today. One being a wide receiver who's 6'4" and ran a 4.4 flat. I think Miles
Miles
Boykin,
Boykin. Yeah.
who was most recently on the Steelers, right?
Seahawks.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Seahawks, right? But
Yeah,
he didn't play a snap. He was just on a practice squad.
practice squad. I mean, he's
Yeah,
from Tinley Park, so I
yeah,
mean,
he's a
that's and
hometown
then
kid.
I screams like maybe he'll make the team if he's really valuable on special teams. I don't know. He's got like 450 yards for his career. He was drafted in 2019, so he's
Yeah,
not played a lot in the league.
nothing impressive, nothing jumping off the charts.
But
And
he
then they
was a
did,
third round pick, Brandon, because he did have that size speed
yeah,
combination that is intriguing as a receiver in the NFL, but it just hasn't materialized yet as a
it,
pro for him.
he was, I believe, like the 92nd pick overall, which I think was the same as Devin Duvernay. And then they signed Sean Wade, the defensive back from the Patriots, who also has spent the majority of his career on the practice squad. I think, man, he has like some outrageously low number of 26 tackles in 20 games total, 6 starts. So looks
Screams
like,
special teams potential
yeah,
if he even makes the team. Yes, I mean the Bears are just like making little minor moves here just to add some depth. It looks like going into the training camp and OTAs
yeah.
and all that just to get
And Kyle
competition.
had mentioned the Bears did have one of the lowest numbers, like roster, right. I think it's a couple weeks or maybe a month ago they were at like 36 team members on their active roster. So they do have to fill this team out with some depth, even if it's going to be these budget signings, these special teamers that you see. These guys are going to need 58 guys going in, or 53 men going into this season, right? And then they did sign one person that I find interesting, Dustin, a journeyman. Obviously, he's played for just about everybody. His last stint was in Houston. Backup quarterback Case Keenum. And
He wasn't always a backup. He led the Vikings to the NFC Championship in 17, right? He had a damn
yeah,
good. He threw that miracle pass to Stephon Diggs in the playoffs to beat the Saints.
and this is something you guys know. I've been kind of advocating, not the player in general, but this person, this the role that he's going to serve. I have been kind of hoping the Bears have done since Caleb Williams was drafted.
Mentorship.
Listen, this is
Yeah.
not anything against Tyson Bagent. It's really not. But
He
Tyson
doesn't
Bagent
know how to
didn't
analyze a
serve this
defense.
role. Yes,
Yeah.
he had nothing that Case Keenum's going to provide does Tyson Bagent have the ability to do in his tenure, right?
Tyson Bagent literally offers nothing at all to Caleb Williams.
Yeah,
Zero.
yeah, and that's
Just reality.
and when you draft your future franchise quarterback, the backup quarterback is almost always this guy, right? This guy who's been there, done that. He's played in multiple systems for multiple coaches. He
What up,
knows the X's
Foster?
and O's. What's going on, Foster? What's up, everybody in the chat?
Says there's my KG vet. I've wanted an experienced QB for Caleb too. Yeah, we all have for sure. And I think he's a third string. I don't think he's taking Tyson Bagent's job as the backup, but he's more of like another coach, somebody that Caleb can potentially lean on for advice, guidance, and just general knowledge, like you're saying, that Tyson Bagent can't provide because he barely has any more experience. He doesn't have more experience now than Caleb Williams. He
Yeah,
didn't have,
no,
barely had it last year.
at this juncture, Caleb's more seasoned than Tyson Bagent is. I mean, just wrap your head around that. And
Yeah.
I think these guys are important, man. I think it's important inside the locker room. I think it's important, especially on the sideline. You know, you always have, when you have that young quarterback who maybe just came out of a touchdown drive or made a mistake and he goes to the bench, there's two people sitting alongside him, his quarterback's coach and his offensive coordinator,
Unless
And
that offensive coordinator is Shane Waldron.
yeah, right. The guy who apparently didn't want to watch any film with Caleb at all ever. And then you have this veteran quarterback, the seasoned guy, like I said, man, the guy who knows, he's the guy who knows maybe what he saw on the field, how Caleb made a mistake, somebody who can help open Caleb's eyes to something that he's done on the field. Because when you're on the field, it's harder to see it, right? And I've honestly, listen, you know this, and like we got into a whole Tyson Bagent argument on this podcast before, guys, and it wasn't so much about
Not on this one.
how I feel about Tyson Bagent as much as it was he wasn't he didn't provide this. This is what I wanted the Bears to go get. This very thing.
Yeah, no, this is important. And I mean, if you look at just the offseason move so far in general for the Bears, and if you look at, it seems like they're looking for experience. They're looking for people who have a veteran presence that they can bring to this locker room because they are trying to change the culture of this locker room. Case Keenum is not going to make your team better. I mean, hopefully he can help make Caleb Williams better, but what he does bring is that veteranship. He's a guy who's played in important games. He's a guy who has seen a lot of defenses and played a good amount in the NFL. So that is going to help Caleb, and that in turn will help Caleb's leadership and growth, hopefully, like ideally, right? And that's going to improve the culture and the leadership of this team. That Ryan Poles and Ben Johnson have a very clear vision in mind in terms of completely flipping the culture around. And I think that that's the biggest thing from this move that I pull from it is it's just more of the same. I mean, in terms of adding leadership, adding a stabilizing presence to this locker room, which they clearly didn't have last year, man.
And I am going to say this, and it's not something I would feel confident
What
in,
up,
guys.
Shorty?
It's not something I'm speaking into existence. God forbid, Caleb Williams and Tyson Bagent both suffered injuries. You don't want to go sign a Brett Rippon or a Nate Peterman. You don't want these guys. And you want somebody who at least has played some starting football and some quality football in their career, man. Because Ben Johnson is one of those Kevin O'Connells, Kyle Shanahan's. Who knows? If you plug in an old timer like Flacco did in Stefanski's offense, you might actually get some production out of this guy as opposed to the guys who were on this roster last year, right?
I mean, he's a capable. Let's not take away the fact that you would feel like he's capable. You would feel like the offense could at least be run to a decent level if Case Keenum had to play football for you. He's a veteran. He will make the right progressions and reads and make it the easy best throw in an offense that will be well designed to make that easy on him too. So God forbid that were to happen. God, let's not speak that into existence. But if it were to, the guy's capable. And let me just say to Shorty, listen, if you want to jump on, we'll send you an invite. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
Hit that like button. So, I mean, I feel like we talked enough. I mean, is there anything else you want to say about Case Keenum?
No, that's really all that's in terms of roster. That's all in the Bears. All that's in the Bears news today, Dustin. But I do know that there was a couple other big pieces of NFL news in general. Right, we saw some pretty big, some substantially large contract today, which I feel was well deserved for sure. Go ahead.
Which one? The Trey McBride one or the Geno Smith one? Because we had two contracts today. Let's talk about Geno Smith first, because you knew it was going to happen when the Raiders traded for Geno Smith. They're kind of putting themselves in a position where they had to extend him. He got extended today, 2 years, $85.5 million, $65.5 guaranteed. I guess this is just the going market for a quarterback, but I hated this move when the Raiders made it. I mean, you needed a stabilizing presence at quarterback. Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew was not it, but I don't know how much better you're off with Geno Smith. And at those numbers, man, I just think that's too much for a guy like Geno Smith. I hope it works out for them, and good for him for getting paid. But that's just a rough contract, man, to me.
Yeah.
Thanks, Shorty. Thank you.
It flabbergasts me what Pete Carroll, what kind of infatuation Pete Carroll has with this dude, man. It wasn't just go get my guy. It was make sure he sticks around for a while. I don't understand it, man. If I'm the Raiders.
It's a 2-year deal, so that they're not tied to him. They will draft a quarterback, Brandon, but
they should draft They should draft the best quarterback that's available to them where they pick this year, man. Because if Shedeur Sanders.
What if that quarterback is Jackson Dart, man?
If Shedeur Sanders is available at 6, I'm picking him.
Oh, for sure. I think they would. I think they would, Brandon. I think they would. It's just I don't think he'll be there. I think the Giants make too much sense for Shador Sanders, but who knows, man? We're gonna see how all that goes. But good for Geno Smith, man. Hopefully the Raiders can turn things around. I think the hire of Pete Carroll was the beginning of a turnaround for them, and they have some talent. They still ain't got no receivers, but Brock Bowers is a hell of a player on that team, and we'll see what they do. But good for Geno Smith. Trey
Yeah, and
McBride.
like you said, this is the going market, man. I mean, the numbers that Geno Smith has put up over the
And
last few
Fioris,
years.
what up?
This is what he was going to get paid from just about anybody, right?
Yeah, man, it was that's what it was going to be, and the Seahawks didn't want to do it, and we'll see how that goes for them. But yeah, the AFC West is going to be a very tough division. So the Raiders needed a capable quarterback, and they got one, and they had to pay him. It is what once you traded for him, you knew this was coming, and that's why I hated the trade when it happened, to be honest. But Trey McBride is now the highest paid tight end in football history, Brandon, in NFL history.
Yeah.
4 years, 76 million, 43 million guaranteed. I think he didn't catch a touchdown till the last game of the season, or like one of the last games. He had a rough year in terms of finding the end zone. It took him a while, but he's a damn good player.
The Cardinals in general had a tough season finding the end zone, man. But yeah, I thought he had a serviceable season. I mean, he kind of slowed down from his rookie year, but
Foster does kind of look like Nosferatu. Freaking Carl, I'm in my coffin. he do kind of look like Nosferatu, just a little bit. Sorry, Brandon, go ahead.
yeah, I think you said that before. Yeah, no, I mean, nobody was catching touchdowns on that team last year. But Trey McBride is a phenomenal player. He's a phenomenal tight end. He was the best weapon on this team, I think, over Marvin Harrison Jr. Now, Marvin Harrison was a rookie. He'll obviously, probably be their number one target next year. But Trey McBride just seems to be the same thing over and over again, Dustin, and that's consistent. He's reliable. He's a guy that Kyler Murray looks to and likes, and I think he will be a pretty big red zone target man come this next season for sure. If they can add some talent around, well, especially on that line, but if they can add some talent around Murray, um, I think Trey
Well,
McBride is
Carl
still,
thinks Kyler Murray is the issue with the Cardinals, and I think a lot of people think that, and they could be justified in saying that, man.
and I see McBride as a top three tight end in fantasy for sure. And I don't judge players on the
Foster,
field versus who they are in fantasy, but he is a quality fantasy tight end. I had him his rookie season, and he carried me a long way. So
and the
good
day
for him as
started.
well.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, he's a damn good player and well deserved. Hopefully, he is that top two tight end that people he wasn't that this past season because he couldn't find the end zone. But the day started, Brandon, with the Patriots trading Joe Milton and a 7th-round pick to the Cowboys for a 5th-round pick. And I thought this was the most interesting news of the day, NFL-wise, man. Joe Milton, there's a lot of sneaky upside there, and I know you've liked him for a while. The guy can throw the football over the mountains. he's got a hell of a deep ball, man. And the Cowboys are in a position where, having a guy that could take over if they ever want to get out of that Dak Prescott contract, maybe Milton is that guy. They took a chance with Trey Lance last year. That didn't pan out. And they moved on. But now bringing in Milton as potentially their backup. What do you think of that move?
Oh, I think for some reason, man, Jerry Jones likes to consistently apply pressure to Dak Prescott to almost allow him to believe that he could lose his job, not even via health, like just performance based strictly. I mean, the Dallas fan base, man, it's like Cooper Rush came in and played a good game, and then you just hear rush, rush, rush every time Prescott threw a bad pass. But it seems like Jerry Jones is kind of persuaded by the way his fan base reacts to their actual play on the field. I think Dak Prescott's job is in no way, shape, or form in jeopardy. But I am intrigued by Joe Milton, as you said, Dustin. The guy has a major arm. Um, I don't know that he's the kind of player that's going to put it together and become, an elite franchise quarterback, but he could be, if Sam Darnold can come out and have the 4,000-yard season he just did, Joe Milton can certainly be an effective player in the NFL. I do believe he's got the skill set to do so. I'm not I'm not crazy about, I don't know. How do you feel about their coaching hire?
Oh
Schottenheimer
no, I
was a
think it.
was It's kind of a shot in the dark.
I think it's I think it's one of those moves where either they're going to end up looking really smart or really stupid. I mean, that's just really what it is.
Yeah,
That's a
I'm thinking the latter.
Yeah,
Knowing the
me
Cowboys.
too. Me too. But a lot of times you see hires like this, and they end up working out. This guy was been a coach for fucking damn near my lifetime, and had not got a head coaching job. So to go from McCarthy to him was a little strange. But I mean, I will say this about this trade: the Patriots opting to give Joe Milton some playing time at the end of that season, that last game. Look at how that paid off for them. They got a 5th round pick out of a guy that they don't plan on using.
Yeah.
That was smart management of their roster and of their assets, and it got them a 5th round pick now that they're going to be able to use in this draft. So that
And
shows you that it's worth playing the young guys sometimes, because if you put them on display, someone might get enamored with them and give you something for them.
one, I think they got the 7th in return, which I believe. Am I wrong, or is that where he was drafted? Was he drafted in the
He was
7th
a
round?
7th round. He was a 7th round pick. Yeah.
Yeah, so they got a 7th round back. So I mean,
Well, no, they
all
got a
said,
5th round back. They sent a 7th.
oh yeah, they got a fifth
Yeah.
round. Yeah,
They
so
sent Milton in the 7th and got a 5th.
all said and done, they kind of came up on this. But yeah, good for them, man. It was a smart thing to do for the Patriots. We know who their quarterback's going to be for probably the next decade, if he's at least at all good. You know what I mean? They're not moving on from Drake man anytime soon. Joe Milton was just going to sit there and waste away on that bench, man. So maybe somebody will give this guy an opportunity to play.
So that's the news of the day, man. The Bears made a few signings, a couple of guys got paid. I mean, it was an interesting news day, for the
Yeah, and
Bears.
I don't expect the Bears to be done. I think you'll see a couple more of these two, man. A couple
Yeah,
more.
what makes sense. They
I
they
mean,
got
you
they
have
got to
me and
continue
you
to
have
fill out the roster.
Me and you have talked to us, and there's even a few free agents out there we wouldn't mind seeing the Bears sign for a small 1 year deal. You like Simmons, the linebacker. I'd mentioned the fact that Bentley was cut by the Patriots, who had a torn pectoral last season, which has probably really affected the amount of money he can require this year. I wouldn't mind seeing that guy in a Bears jersey. He was the captain of Bill Belichick's defense for a few years.
Simmons is still young, man. I mean, he's got a lot of physical ability that I'd be interested in on a cheap, $1.5, $2 million deal for a year, just like a prove it deal. I mean, why couldn't that guy be your third linebacker? And there's worse options at third linebacker in my mind. The guy's kind of a physical freak. I really loved him in college at Clemson, and I loved him coming out of the
No,
draft. It hasn't worked out for him, but I'd take a shot on that if I were the Bears, if
yeah,
I didn't plan on drafting a linebacker.
I was going to say, and I agree with you. If you're just literally looking to fill that Jack Sanborn role, this is where you address that here and now in free agency for somebody who's going to cost you very little money. If you're going to go draft a quality linebacker, it's got to be to replace the guy who's in the middle for you, right? Like, let's say you're going to go spend a first or second round pick on a linebacker. You better be good enough to take
It
Tremaine
better
Edmonds'
be
job.
Jahad Campbell. It better be
Yeah,
Jahad Campbell, and he is good enough to take Tremaine Edmonds' job.
yeah,
That's what I
that and
think.
more.
We've gone over that. Yeah, I know that guy. I like I said, I compare him to Patrick Willis, man. When Willis was at Ole Miss, that's the type of player he reminds me of. He's going to be an All Pro.
Two more things I want to get to real quick before we dive into those mock drafts, Dustin. First is let's talk about the left tackle position a little bit. I do want to talk about this, guys. We have two. Ryan Poles. Well, do you want to go into the press? Actually, we'll do the stadium first. All right, we'll do the stadium first, then we'll go into the things that Ryan Poles
We
and
discussed all of this, and you're just all over the map here.
with Ben Johnson. Hey, man, it's late. But Kevin Warren, guys, did give I don't know. I don't want to, like, he didn't really reveal anything.
He
Kind
talked
of.
glowingly about their property in Arlington Heights and what the capabilities are there. Now, that could be him
Yeah.
being coy and trying to just, flaunt that over the city of Chicago and the lakefront property where that they have that opportunity, or it could be a very real, show of his hand in terms of what they think of that property and what they could do there and how appealing that is. It's appealing
Well,
to me as a fan when I think about it.
and he said something else that struck me as most important in regards to what he was kind of revealing, right? He said, and I'm going to read this. This is directly from Kevin Warren himself when he did the Mike Florio Chris Sims interview at the owners meetings. He said, And then fortunately back to George, I'm paraphrasing here, and then fortunately back to George McCaskey and his leadership and my predecessor, Ted Phillips, who I'm grateful for. They've made a very forward thinking decision right before I started. That was a piece of paper that was on my desk when I walked into the office on April of 23. That is which stated that they had purchased the 326 acres in Arlington Heights. This land is absolutely beautiful. I mean, it's a great piece of land. And so now it's a key thing that stadium projects, it's a key thing that in all stadium projects is optionality. Dustin, we talked about this. These guys' vision is an entertainment site, right? I mean, you're talking about hotels and clubs and restaurants and the whole nine yards. Like they want to build not just the stadium, but everything around it that entails that will create revenue for this team and for the city. So the fact that George McCaskey had the bill of purchase for this 326 acres in Arlington Heights that he'd spent $197 million on, to me, George McCaskey sending a very direct message to Kevin Warren, right? If I had to guess right now, if you asked me to be a betting man, I would say George McCaskey wants this stadium in Arlington Heights. Is that not the
I
kind of
mean,
the
listen, you have that kind of property, you're always going to be able to make money off of it. If you don't use it, you can turn around and sell it. Like
yeah,
there's things they can do that someone will want that property. But the thing that Warren said, that stood out to me the most is what, again, the optional capabilities. What they can build hotels there, they can build everything around the stadium. The amount of land they have there, you can build a destination for your
well, yeah,
fans and people to come in from out of state to visit and have all the accommodations they need. I don't know that you can do that with the museum and the lakefront area.
yeah, and I
There's
think the
just so much more
Bronzeville site.
capability in Arlington Heights.
I think they kind of turned the Bronzeville site away, right? The old hospital site. He said it was too narrow for his ambitions. But then he has also added the stadium will absolutely be domed, and he would like to host big events like not only the Super Bowl, which would the guys Chicago might eventually get a Super Bowl. How exciting is that, man?
You got to
But
be domed. You got to be a dome in
yeah,
Chicago if you're going to get a Super Bowl. That's for
but
sure.
NCAA men's basketball Final Four games and
Mm,
Big Ten championship games, and possibly the college football playoff games as well. So, yeah, the Bears' aspirations here are pretty big, man. I mean, they obviously this is money, money, money for these guys, but for us fans, we're gonna get to see some of the best sporting events in the world if they move this to Arlington Heights and build this dome stadium, right?
the amount of money that they can make is just
I'll be at
incredible
a
to
Final
fathom.
Four game.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Listen, I don't. I'll tell you. I've said this. The biggest appeal to me as a Chicago sports fan about playing in Chicago in the playoffs, which is it's been a fucking while, but like the elements, that's an advantage that you have. But if you want to take advantage of opportunity to get those types of events, it's got to be a dome. If you ever want a Super Bowl in Chicago, you got to dome it, and that's just what it is. Hopefully there's some retractable capabilities there, but I mean, it's going to be a dome, and I think it's going to be Arlington Heights, man. Kevin Warren talks glowingly about the Arlington Heights one, and whether or not that, again, he's just holding that over Chicago, the city of Chicago's head to get their wheels in motion. I don't know. Either way, the Bears are going to get the best deal possible because of the optionality that they do have.
And this guy gets this stuff. I mean, this is his reputation, man. He gets these things done. Remember, he was the COO of the Minnesota Vikings. He took on a part of the stadium development. He hired the development. He actually selected the designers and developers for that stadium. And by 2016, guys, he had opened US Bank Stadium, which the Super Bowl was then played in, where the Eagles defeated the Patriots.
There's a template here with Kevin Warren and how he's going to go about his business. It's going to get done. It's going to be beautiful, and the Bears are going to make a lot of fucking money off of it. That's
Yeah.
for sure. So I mean, in Arlington Heights, I think in terms of just accessibility and those things makes a lot of sense too, man. All signs to me are pointing to Arlington Heights being the ideal spot for this to happen. I mean, obviously that could change. They got both sites open. I just thought it was interesting the way he talked about the Arlington Heights plot of land and what the capabilities are there.
No, and I thought the piece of paper sitting on his desk the day he was hired is kind of also a message in itself. But I didn't really get to see too much. So we're going to dive in. Like that was with Kevin Warren. That was really all he talked about when he was at the owners' meetings. I didn't get to see too much of Ryan Poles. Okay, the one thing that it's just kind of it's going basically viral if you're here locally in Chicago, is what Ryan Poles said in regards to the offensive tackle position and how they might really not approach this in this draft, man. I mean, what he basically said is he's very comfortable with not only Braxton Jones running it back, but with Karan being there in case he actually said he's going to allow these two guys to basically duke it out. That's what's going to happen. He said that these two guys are going to compete with one another for the starting job. Now, that doesn't mean he's not going to draft the left tackle, but what it sounds like to me is Ryan Poles is basically stating he's not going to draft the left tackle that's going to be your immediate starter. He's not getting a Will Campbell or a Calvin Banks, is what he made it sound like. And this is my concern with this. Dustin, me and you both don't like where this tackle position stands currently. We don't know what Karan might be one day, but he didn't look phenomenal, and he also missed most of his offseason. He will get an offseason this time around. Braxton Jones was just reported yesterday. Well, Braxton Jones was by Ben Johnson reported at the owners meeting as going to be limited going into the 2025 season. They said he
The
is
problem.
on track. He's on track to where he should be. But like I stated a couple months ago when we talked about Braxton on the show, he had a surgery, guys, for I didn't even realize how severe. I went back and watched it. I didn't realize how severe this injury was. He fell over his ankle and leg and basically snapped it, man. I mean,
His
he
entire leg was yeah damaged pretty badly, and that's not funny. I mean, that's part of the game, and it
no, it's
happens.
not funny, but
But
it's a
it's a
very
serious thing to
long
consider.
road to
Yeah,
recovery. And
it's a
I think
serious thing
everybody
to
kind of
consider.
just assumed he'd be back. You know what I
Before
mean?
we move to the draft capability, the draft possibilities here, let's just say that I have not ever really been the biggest fan of Braxton Jones. Listen, he's a fifth round pick. I didn't expect much of him, and he kind of delivered on those expectations. He has throughout his career. Do I support him when I see him lead blocking for DeAndre Swift running the outside and laying a big block on somebody? Yes. I mean, he made a couple blocks this past season that sprung some of the biggest plays of the Bears season. So he has some capabilities, but it's on him to, perform at a level where his job's not in question. And he has not done that. Let's just say that flat out. That's why the Bears drafted Karan Amagaji, who hasn't really gotten a fair shake yet. The Bears drafted Karan Amagaji, Brandon, because they thought they were getting a first round talent in the third round because they jumped on him a year early. He's a project
Well, and
guy.
he was also injured. They thought
Project guy. He
they
was injured. Yes, this is what I'm saying. Yes. So like they thought they were getting a steal basically. And Ryan Poles has no reason to have changed his mind on that. Just because we saw him play poorly against the Vikings as fans and we overreact to it, that's not the way a general manager should look at their roster construction. Just not
no,
based off of one
and
game in that
again,
situation.
and the Tevin Jenkins story all over again, Dustin. They drafted Karan thinking because he had the major calf injury, they were getting teams were going to pass on a first round talent because they don't want to touch the guy with the health problems. But the calf injury reoccurred. So this is the
Yes,
problem, man.
that is the injury is the biggest concern with Karan, but Karan was drafted as Braxton Jones insurance, so we don't get stuck having to pay this guy when his contract comes up. We can feel comfortable moving on from him. So for Poles to look at it and say, "Let's run this out this year and see how it plays out," there is a way to make sense of that. Do I like the way it sounds, considering that that's protecting the blind side of our most prized possession in Chicago as sports fans in general and Caleb Williams? No, I don't like the way that sounds, and I'm not a fan of that proposition. But I can see why Poles, having just drafted Karan and still having some faith in Braxton Jones, would want to potentially see how that plays out, But the injury is the biggest issue for both of these guys. The injury concerns are the biggest issues
Yeah,
for both of these guys, right?
and Sean stated on our House All Hangover show, guys, and he said this before many times, and I believe him to be correct. I think this is Ryan Poles' pet project. I think Ryan Poles is the guy who stands firmly behind Braxton Jones as his starting left tackle because Ben Johnson has already identified that this guy needs a lot of work. Because, and this is from Ben Johnson directly. Listen, the number one thing, in my opinion, that tackles need to do is pass protect. So I think that I think that he has the feet to get that done, but we're going to challenge him to maybe gain a little more weight so that he can anchor a little bit better in pass protection. That is Ben Johnson telling you guys as fans, telling us all, Braxton Jones is not good enough as pass protection. He's not good enough. And he's going to have to work on some things if he was going to want to be the starting left tackle on this football team, because Ben Johnson just oversaw an offensive line that has no weakness, right? So you cannot Braxton Jones is not getting a what does an $18 million deal, a year deal moving forward. He's not getting that if he doesn't show A, Ben Johnson, B, Ryan Poles, C, the fan base, that he can do a little bit better in pass protection, because that's where he fails.
I'm sorry, I'm in the middle of trying to get Shorty a link to the show.
Oh, that's all right.
No,
I
go
read
ahead,
what
man.
Ben Johnson said about Braxton Jones needing to work on things to be better in pass protection, meaning he knows it's a weakness. And as much as Ryan Poles likes Braxton Jones, are we seeing Ben Johnson kind of letting the cat out of the bag? I mean, is he stating that he knows that Braxton Jones hasn't been good in pass coverage?
I mean, yeah, Braxton Jones has not been good enough, and the thing that the Bears coaches and Brian Poles are doing that I like the most about this is they are challenging these players. They're not just letting them feel comfortable. And here we got Shorty joining us. What up, Shorty?
What's going on?
Thanks for jumping on with us, man. It's pretty
Hey,
late.
man, thanks for having me. I love your beard. It's so black and young looking.
I got the white here, man. I got some white going. I got some salt with my pepper.
Hey, well, you didn't have to say that. It's not noticeable, man. You didn't have to sell yourself out like that.
No, it is what it is, man. I'm not old, but I'm not young either. So I wear all my war wounds proudly.
Yeah, me too.
I've earned it.
I shaved mine to make it look less so relevant to my age. I want to thank you guys for. I know we've been kind of trying to align this to where I can come on with you, because we do a show on the same night and you're just after us, and we usually go really late and you're like on afterwards when I'm trying to download and upload things. That's when I'm hanging out with you. So I want to thank you guys for sending me the link and having me on tonight. I'm not going to be on here very long. I do have to go to bed here soon, but
of course,
I just want to say I love what you guys have going on here. It's awesome late night content. You guys seriously are fun to watch. You've got a lot of good, insight and thoughts on the Bears, and it's good stuff to watch. So I appreciate you guys for your content. So thank you for having me on.
Thanks, Shorty, and we love Bears country. You guys,
it is an honor to have you. I was just going to say, it is an honor to have you on, Shorty. And for those who maybe don't know who this gentleman here is, he is the host of Bears Country Productions. And if you have not watched that podcast, you need to go.
I need a big dick. Yeah. Oh, that. Yeah. Sorry. Let me change that, because that was what Mr. Carl did to me. Edit my name. There we go.
You guys need to go check out Bears Country Productions. It's awesome. Hey, I love the card draw, man.
You did? You like that?
The opening of the cards? I don't know why that shit fascinates me, man. It really does. Dude, I'm rooting for you every time you do it, Shorty.
I mean, I used to collect cards when I was, in my late 80s, early 90s, and I had a bunch of good stuff. And then I got away from it. And I just really wanted to open the Caleb Williams rookie myself, and I wanted to just open that pack and get it. And I only got 2 out of like 1,400 cards. So,
well, you that's the whole point of it, right? That's the luck of the draw. I saw someone actually, I don't know if it's legit or not, but I saw it reported that someone actually pulled the Green Bay Sucks card.
I heard about that.
Yeah. So I mean, that's pretty cool.
2 out of 14. That's like 8%.
Lucky bastard. Carl said there was like a $25,000 bounty on that card. What's up, Illinois Jones?
Yeah, on the Green Bay Sucks card. Yeah, I heard the same thing. I read that actually. There was a bounty on that card.
Shorty, we're talking about this left tackle situation. I think it's precarious at best. What are your thoughts? I'm curious to see what you're thinking in terms of if the Bears do run it with Braxton and Kieran this year and don't try to address this in the draft. Do you think that'll be sufficient enough to protect our Caleb Williams and make those rookie cards worth something?
That's a good question, because I get to this point in the season with my own show going on 4 years now, and I just kind of tune out right now until right about now. I tune out until free agency starts and we get the players that we're signing in free agency, and then after that, I can really focus in on the draft. And even on my own show, I haven't really talked about this, but to your question, would I like a tackle at 10? Is that your question?
Yeah, basically. Do you think that that's where they need to go, or are you comfortable with them running it back with Jones and Karan?
Well, I said this on my show tonight. I think that I had a dream, and I know this is stupid, but in my dream they drafted Tyler Warren. I don't know why I had the dream. I've had other dreams before. Like I was telling our chat on.
Did you have a dream that they drafted Shea McClellan?
No, I did not. Didn't know who he was.
Okay, very good.
But I did have a dream that DeAndre Houston Carson intercepted a ball to end a game, and he did the next day. And so
wow.
I do kind of take this, a little seriously when I do have these weird premonitions or dreams, if you will. And I for some reason, it's not my pick, but I can see them drafting a positional player, whether it's a running back or a tight end or something like that. That's not our main focus. And I've said this on BCP that I'm just not a huge fan of the Jonah Jackson trade. I just don't. The injuries scare me. The Joe Tooney trade, that has me a little bit more excited. But even the rest of the free agent signings, I'm just not. It's not like when we went out and got Julius Peppers, right? There's nothing that super excited me as far as these free agent signings. So I could see any one of the positions being drafted to groom for the future, whether that's offensive line, whether that's adding a positional player that replaces someone. To your question about offensive tackle, if the right tackle was there, I definitely could see them picking a tackle. But for some reason, I just feel like Ben Johnson is, Foster, this is for you, buddy, content on rolling it back with Braxton Jones. I feel like it's possible.
Yeah,
I feel like he can get something out of him.
I feel like he feels like he can for sure.
Right, yeah.
I feel he's confident in his ability to get the most out of players. And I love Tyler Warren. I think he's confident. He's infatuated with Tyler Warren when you hear him talk about Tyler Warren. So, I mean, that's a very real possibility that Tyler Warren is there. And the good thing about having so little depth and not enough talent is you can take the best player available at 10 and feel good about it no matter what, right?
Mm-hmm. How do you guys feel about our offensive line with these trades and whatnot? Do you feel like it's secure enough for us to draft what we like, to not draft for need, to draft best position available?
Brandon?
Well, I'm a big advocate. If you got a top 10 pick, I would never draft for need. I really don't. I don't ever I would say anywhere in the
unless
top
you're
50.
like a player away from competing for a Super Bowl, right?
Yeah. I
Which
don't
the Bears
even
aren't.
still. I don't. It's just very good picking in the top 10. Who is that blue chip talent that's sitting there that can impact your team day one? That's what I'm looking at. As a day one, because like Ben Johnson stated during the interview we just did at the owners meeting, he said some of these guys, because they said, how do you feel about having 4 picks in the top 75? He said, I think we could, we lack depth all across the board. I think we could have some impact players in the second and third round that probably, he even said this, probably won't have an impact day one. And I'm thinking to myself, I think he's stating in his own words, Ben Johnson saying the guy you take at number 10 needs to be a day one impact. He really
I think
does.
the guys you take at number 39 and 41 need to be
So
day
do
one
I.
impacts.
When he said that, I was kind of like, I think these guys.
Like
he said they will have an impact this year, but they're not.
Hopefully in the
one
future,
impact.
if not this year, yeah.
I think you got to have a guy that's going to affect the impact, whether it be on offense or defense. It's going to make the entire unit better from the opening week.
I will answer both of those questions and say that I agree with Brandon. Best player available makes the most sense, especially for the Bears, because they need talent in a lot of areas. The offensive line, like you said, the Tooney thing makes me have confidence in this offensive line.
Me
That's the biggest thing. He's going to be a leader. He's going to set the tone for that offensive line, and he's going to play right next to Braxton Jones if Braxton Jones is in there, or Karan Amagaji. So he'll be a coach on the field for those guys. And the Dahlman signing is a solid one, and Jonah Jackson that's up in the air. My feelings on it were a little mixed. The Tooney trade right after it made me feel a lot better about the Jonah Jackson trade, right? Because Tooney kind of brings it all together. I think the fact that I feel like they've revamped from where this offensive line was last season, Shorty. This is worlds better in my mind.
Yeah, so it was the worst interior offensive line in football last year.
Yes, and that's what was killing Caleb the most, that pressure from right up the gut. So if I'm Ben Johnson, I might look at it and say, I got enough like stud working on the interior to where I can work with one of these left tackles and spend my picks, allocate them on some areas where I can get some toys to play with potentially. That's something that he could be thinking. I think the offensive line has improved enough to where the Bears can potentially think that way. Do I agree with that? I don't think so. I think I would continue to attack offensive line in this draft.
I agree. I mean, my dumb Bears brain wants to go, yeah, we figured this out. We made the trades. We got the guys, right? And then it comes down to, Illinois Jones saying here that Braxton Jones is trash, and it just makes me. I went into this season. It hasn't officially begun yet, but it's kind of begun, right? And after last season, I mean, we predicted 13-4 as a group of 5 last year. Predicted 13 wins and 4 losses. And the year before that, 11-6. The year before that, 11-6. And it just never pays off. And I've gotten to this point with myself. I'm like, I can't trust my own judgment on this team because I am so biased. And so do I feel like Ben Johnson can get, and his coaching staff can get more out of Braxton Jones? Can they turn Braxton Jones? Can they put the weight in his ass, in his legs, like Ben Johnson suggested in his press conference, right? Putting on the weight in the right places.
Yeah.
Can he do that? And if he can, will it matter? And I that skeptical part of me that doesn't want to fully give in to buying in again to, this person can fix it and yada, yada, yada.
I'll see you're skeptical.
Do I think that Ben Johnson can get the most out of Braxton Jones? Yes. Go ahead.
I'll see you're skeptical, Shorty, and I'll raise you even more skeptical. Because
I think you're skeptical. I think what you're saying, the word skeptical is just reality, Shorty. I think we have to see the shit on the field.
Yeah.
Here's my more skeptical, which I was trying to say, Brady. What if Ben Johnson does actually do what you just said, Shorty, and he gets the most out of Braxton Jones, and Braxton Jones plays up to a level that he's not capable of consistently maintaining without that coaching? And what if, he has a great he comes out with the mental mind state, great contract year, he wants to get paid, kills it, and then the Bears are tricked into paying him, and then they end up signing a premium left tackle in their mind to a premium left tackle price that he cannot live up to that play for the remainder of that contract. And now you're upside down on that contract. That's my biggest concern.
Well said.
That's my biggest concern.
That is well said, because now you're paying him all this money for what basically in turn you're expecting him to live up to that contract rather than have earned it, right? So
what if Tooney retires? What if Tooney retires and Dan Rocher goes somewhere else, and then Braxton Jones's level of play just drops, and now you're stuck with this contract for this guy? That is my biggest concern.
I can understand that.
Rocher too, man. I forgot about mentioning his name. That's a guy that you'd hope to see improve this, because I truthfully believe, man, the guy who's been coaching this offensive line for the last 2 tenures is awful, or was Chris Morgan, the guy who lasted through 2 head coaches, and we never saw any improvement out of anyone. I'm not just talking about like the line as a whole. Any young player this team drafted was like just destined for failure. I wouldn't have even wanted to be drafted by the Bears if Chris Morgan was coaching me. it's like your career you just died here, man. I mean, this guy has provided nothing, and I don't know how he stuck around so long. I think hiring a new offensive line, especially a guy with the pedigree like Rocher, I think that's going to make a world of difference. I really do.
And once you start scheming in the things that Ben Johnson is capable of coming up with, I mean, I have a friend who I've known since I was 8, and the guy hasn't worked since he was 25 because he's always run fantasy drafts and he's made a living off of betting. He's been that good, and
Jesus.
and he literally that amazing. He's my go-to guy. And when he says something about somebody, I really take it seriously. And some of the shit that he has said about, Chris Morgan and even Braxton Jones I take it seriously. So the question is there a tackle at 10 that's worth, because your top tackles are what? They're within the first 6 picks, right? You're not going to get a superstar tackle, a left tackle at
Is
10.
there even a superstar by some people's standards, Shorty? There really isn't one in this draft, right? I mean, because
Right.
Will Campbell's arms are too short. But
Right.
Will
He's a
Campbell is a
guard.
stud. Yeah,
Yeah.
Will Campbell is a stud to me, and I would put him at left tackle, but he might fall because of those concerns, or maybe someone takes him and wants to move him to guard. But yeah, I don't know that there really is a consensus like Joe Alt last year. You don't have that in this draft, which is also adds a whole nother, throws a wrench into this whole plan of us wanting the Bears to go after left tackle. Is there even one they would want to look at in this draft?
That's why, for me, I think that the sweet spot in the offensive line is second and third round, and I would be happy with a offensive skill position player at 10, whether it's a running back or a tight end or something like that. I think that's where the Bears are going to end up going. Just thinking in the mindset of Ben Johnson and his ability to. I kind of went off track. My buddy was talking about Ben Johnson years ago. I'm like, would you fucking shut up about Ben? Can I swear? I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, please.
No,
Would you shut up about Ben Johnson? Like, I've heard enough. He's like, no, I'm telling you, he's my guy. He's my guy. And then finally, 2 years later, we hire him, and I was like, he's like, we're all set. Like, this is the guy. And you watch what Ben Johnson did with Detroit. It's not gimmicky. It's not like Matt Nagy in his first year when he was the Santa Claus, the Santa sleigh, and all that stuff. It wasn't
It's
like
smash mouth football, Shorty. It's smash mouth football. Disguised. Yeah.
He takes advantage of the mismatches and he puts the right people in the right place to go against the defense with speed.
People open constantly.
I think it's really something to be excited about.
And what I love about Ben Johnson, especially in comparison to Matt Nagy's, Ben Johnson's, people keep saying like he's not going to be what he is. It's a different personnel. He's not going to do what he did in Detroit. Of course not. But he built what was in Detroit. And Matt Nagy was just coming over here after working under a guy like Andy Reid, who runs everything.
He called plays for one game.
Yeah,
that season before the Bears hired him.
It was like he was just somebody's shadow, and he got hired. And Ben Johnson's like the real fucking deal, man. And what I want to say about the left tackle, what scares the hell out of me, is we're talking about left tackle candidates in this draft. Is there that guy? What scares me is I do believe that a lot of people think that Josh Simmons out of Ohio State is that guy, and he might be. My concern is, are we doing this again?
The same injury concerns.
We just got Karan, who had the calf. We have Braxton Jones, who just got the surgery, who's going to be limited, and when the season starts. Are we going to go get a guy like Josh Simmons, who's going to have a setback again? You know what I mean?
Let's
Are we going to
alleviate those concerns by drafting a guy with injury concerns?
It scares the shit out of me because you're going to feel good about it, of course, when they say Bears select Josh Simmons. You're like, oh, we got potentially the best left tackle in this draft. And then week one going to come rolling around. It's going to be like, oh, he tore whatever it was. It was already weak and fragile. Like, God damn.
Can I give you some insider info on Josh Simmons?
Yeah, please.
So the same guy I'm talking about, who I've known since I was 8, his dentist's hygienist or something like that. Or no, his dentist's daughter. She works for Ohio State as a tutor. And she told his dentist, who then in turn told my buddy while he's working on his teeth, that he is an idiot. That he doesn't have it. He doesn't have the mind for the game. He doesn't care. He doesn't love football. He doesn't have the IQ for it because he doesn't care enough. And that when you hear that, I mean, I know I'm just talking on my ass right now.
No, look what just happened to Ted Terrell.
This is literally my buddy who I've known since I was 8. When he speaks, I listen, and he says and I said this on my own show, that his dentist's daughter is a tutor for Ohio State, and says this guy is an idiot. So that means he's not putting in the wherewithal to give two shits about it. And if he approaches it that way with his college degree, and then he goes into the NFL and approaches it the same way, is it going to translate the same way? And that I was really high on Josh Simmons because of one of our chat members, J2K, was really high on him, and he had the injury, and you would think that if he fell, we would be like golden to get him fall in our laps, right? But then I hear this stuff, and I'm like, I don't want someone that doesn't care. I want someone that it's like when the Bears drafted Cedric Benson and he started crying. I was like, oh my God, he's so excited to be a Bear that he's crying. He's like gonna, follow the footsteps of Walter Payton. And he's crying because he didn't want to be a Bear. he hated the Bears. He didn't want to be a Bear.
Yeah. Well, no, Ted Terrell, McMillan just had a video leaked.
He doesn't watch film, yeah.
Of individuals speaking to him, and he says, I don't watch football. I don't watch any football. I don't watch film. And I think this, man, you can be good at something you don't like. You can't be great at something you don't love. I firmly believe that.
One thing I'll say, guys, for sure. One thing I'll say, though, is that I don't think Ben Johnson and Ryan Poles are going to fuck around with somebody that they'll get a whiff of that. If they were to sit down and talk with him, Brandon, Josh Simmons, they would get a whiff of that pretty quickly. I think Ben Johnson's the most impressive thing to be about Ben Johnson so far is how straightforward, no bullshit, no nonsense. He's challenging these guys already. He is raising the bar for this team, and I think that he'll sniff that bullshit out real quick, and he'll stay away from it. So if they were to go and Poles has shown in the past that he does not want to touch character issue guys. So if they stay away from him, that would be for a reason. And if they were to go get him, I think that would be for a reason too. I think they've both shown enough so far to where we should have faith in them to be able to sniff out the bullshit. Personally,
and the Bears have historically shown that too, right? You can pick. It's kind of like every draft. You can pick out the Raven, you can pick out the Steeler, you can pick out the Bear. You know what I'm saying? It's like it comes down to their character. And Braxton Jones is a perfect Bear. He's a Bear. You know what I mean? Like he fits the mold of being a Bear. He's intelligent. The guy,
he plays his lack of ass off. That's for sure.
His lack of ass off. Yes.
The problem with those guys is they tend to be less talented.
Right.
They're grinders, they're gym rats, they're gonna work their asses off, but you're sacrificing on talent when you don't go after a Jalen Carter, because of character concerns. You're missing out on a major talent there, and that can lead to your team being deficient in talent, which we've seen that.
Do you really think that Jalen Carter would have made a difference on this team though? I mean, I
think Jalen Carter would have made a difference on any team he played on. Any team you put him in the middle of that line, he's gonna fucking beat somebody's ass. I know that. The guy just mauls people.
I felt when he got drafted to the perfect team and the perfect
it seems that way
with his former teammate from Georgia. It just
Jordan
felt
Davis,
yeah.
8 of them.
It felt like the perfect situation for him. I didn't feel like he would have succeeded with the Bears, and I'll stick by that. I mean, I think he succeeded where he needed to go. And
I think he was the best talent in that draft. I thought he was going into it, and I was very happy to see him falling. But he fell because of those character concerns, and the Bears passed because of that. And that's kind of just the point I'm making. If there are those red flags with Josh Simmons, I think Poles and Ben Johnson will sniff it out very quickly. or anybody for that matter that they sit down and talk to. So
Yeah,
I think
we appreciate the insight, man. Don't often get something from the mouth of a dentist. Usually,
usually the dentist takes it from the mouth. Yeah.
The mouth of a dentist's daughter. And that's some really good he said, she said information, isn't it?
Oh, is this Ed Shorty? Is that the guy you were talking about? Is that the guy who you said people were paying to like draft their fantasy teams for him?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
I'm so fucking envious.
Dude, the guy has his whole life. People would call him. They'd be like, I'm joining this $10,000 league. I'll give you half. And he would draft it. He would run it. He would win it. The guy would give him $5,000. He'd do the same thing for this guy, that guy. Next thing you know, he's got 30 grand in the bank, and he made that for the year. He claims taxes on it, and he's good to go. I mean, he is literally like the man.
I wanted to. I don't ever see fantasy drafter on Indeed. I gotta dive a little deeper.
I literally wanted to start. My podcast was designed about me doing this by myself in hopes that he would see what I was doing and finally like, okay, I'll join you and be your co-host.
Give some of that information out to the people.
No, he doesn't care enough. He's just like,
well, if I was him, I'd want to keep my shit to myself too, so other people don't start taking all my money and my jobs.
Hey, but luckily I was lucky enough for him to say no, and then I got my crew, which is I couldn't ask for any better.
Great, you got a great crew, Shorty.
PJ Foster, Carl, they're all awesome, man. And our chat.
Was Foster the guy who was the big advocate of because you said your friend liked Ben Johnson for years, you couldn't get him to shut up. Was Foster the guy who was constantly Josh McCown? Was that Foster?
That was Shorty.
That was you, okay? It's Josh McCown. So when he was telling you Ben Johnson, you were telling him shut up because you wanted Josh McCown.
I wanted fucking Josh McCown. I was like, dude, Josh McCown.
All right, but you feel pretty good about Ben Johnson right now, right? He's doing all the right things. I think he is.
I'll be honest.
Please.
In the beginning, I was like, when they signed him, I was like, you got to be kidding me. Like, here we go again, right? But the more I really dove into it, I mean, there's no denying his talent for mismatching an offense against a defense and getting the best out of his players. He's just, the more you hear him talk, the more he becomes, more like a Jim Harbaugh kind of figure in my mind, someone that is a leader of men that's going to get the best out of him. And
that was the big question mark with Ben Johnson. It wasn't the offensive acumen, because we knew he had that. And there was an anonymous exec who said, I saw it today, he said, this guy is an evil genius. The Lions losing him is basically like the Rams losing Sean McVay. That's the kind of guy we have here. And my question was those things, the leader of men stuff, but he is showing that in spades. And he seems very focused on the right things, whether it's analytics, whether it's his players and what they need to get better at and what they need to improve on. And he's challenging them all right out in public, man, which I fucking love. I don't want anyone on this Bears roster to be comfortable. I want them all to be afraid for their fucking jobs all season, all the way to the end, because that's when you're going to get the best out of your guys, period. And I think he's doing that great.
He's just built different, man. I think he tries to stay ahead of the curve. And I think, did you see Dustin? I think you sent it to me, where he's talking about EPAs versus turnover battles.
Yep, that's what I was referring to with the analytics. Exactly. He's focused on the EPA, because the higher that is for your offense, the more it equates to wins, and then that has a much bigger impact these days than turnover margin does. Yes.
Amphieris, I love it. Amphieris saying Shorty wants him to run the T formation, and that I just want to make this perfectly clear. I don't want a full-blown T formation like back in the 30s. I want
like in the fucking song.
Yeah, but the song is with your T formation, right? So I want Ben Johnson. Remember when Matt Nagy, the first play against the Packers was the T formation? You remember that?
Yeah.
The first play against the Packers with Khalil Mack was the T formation. It was an homage to George Halas. I want Ben Johnson to just implement a modern day version of that into a modern offense. Every defense is nickelback heavy now. It's the league is cyclical. It goes up, it goes down. It's running, it's passing. It's
Well
right now
said,
we're in
though.
a passing league. It's passing eccentric right now.
Yeah, passing heavy for sure. But I mean, the run is coming back a little bit. You saw these running backs kind of change games.
We're seeing the Niners and
right.
A couple other teams that are doing that really well. But it would take the Bears to implement a modern day version of that T formation back into the modern league. And I'm not saying every play, but if let's just say the Bears drafted, let's just say TreVeyon Henderson.
Thanks, Illinois Jones.
Let's say they traded back and they got.
I wish they drafted TreVeyon Henderson.
Illinois Jones, man, love you, bro.
Yeah,
let's say they drafted TreVeyon Henderson and they somehow were able to trade back and got Cam Scatterboo. Now you got Swifty, you got DeAndre Swift, Cam Scatterboo, and TreVeyon Henderson.
You kind of stole my thunder there, Shorty, because when you started talking about this T formation, I was going to say you need a particular set of skills, multiple guys that are skilled in that backfield. And then today, MJD, Maurice Jones-Drew, put out his mock draft on NFL Network and, former running back. And he had the Bears taking TreVeyon Henderson at 10, which is kind of mind-blowing. That's a big jump for him in terms of draft value. MJD says he's the second best running back in the draft by his
I agree.
His standard. I think Quinshon Judkins is the best running back in this draft. I think TreVeyon Henderson is right there. I like both.
It's hard to disagree with that too.
I have been slowly.
What do you think of TreVeyon Henderson at 10? Is that
that's a little high?
Is that a huge reach? That's a little insane.
Reach, but I wouldn't mind him drafted at all.
I have been slowly falling in love with this guy, man. I mean, I am watching a lot of tape. He is different. He's different. And I'm going to say there is a lot of really good running backs in this draft. There is, because you've got Omarion Hampton, Quinshon Judkins, Caleb Johnson, Ashton Genty. These guys can all potentially be stars in the NFL. None of them are like TreVeyon Henderson. He is his own version of something entirely different than what these guys bring to the table. And I think, man, I'm going to probably maybe one day just go viral for this when it doesn't happen. But this guy could be a Saquon Barkley-like player. I truthfully believe that.
I think the passing game with him would be phenomenal.
Yes.
Imagine the screens with him.
I don't see the Saquon Barkley comp. I don't see it.
I
don't see that with TreVeyon Henderson. He's more of like that scat back. He's going to have a lot of speed out of the backfield, a great receiver out of the backfield. I think that's where his skill set is, breaking big plays. He's not going to be powering through people like Saquon Barkley is able to do. I don't see that. But I do like TreVeyon Henderson a lot. I really do. I think MJD putting him at 10 to the Bears is
his running back list was ass, dude. It was.
Let's just imagine DeAndre Swift in the middle, in the backfield, Scatterboo on the left, Henderson on the right, in a T formation, Caleb under center, and we have the rest of the formation is completely symmetrical. So you got 3 in the back. You got the quarterbacks, that's 4. You got 5 offensive linemen, that's 9. You got 2 receivers on the outside. It's totally symmetrical at all times. You can move Henderson out to a receiver. You can move. I mean, there's so many things that you could do with that. Like I have a buddy that's a defensive coordinator for a high school team, and we sat there and like lined up beer cans one night, hanging out, and I was like, well. He was like, you can't run the T formation. I'm like, yeah, you can. So I like lined up my beer cans this way. He's like, well, I'm going to do this. I'm like, well, thank you. Thank you for doing that, because now I'm going to do this. And he's like, huh, okay. Well, I'm like, I gotcha. I mean, there's so many things you can do. If you run a symmetrical offense, and that being 3 backs in the backfield and 2 wide receivers and 4 and 5 offensive linemen and a quarterback under center, there's so many things that you could do with that nobody's running right now, that you'd be able to just, if you had a talent like Henderson, you could move him out to a receiver or toss him a bubble screen as a receiver after you put him in motion. There's so many things you could do with it. It just boggles my mind that nobody would even think to do it.
I gotta say, your passion for the subject is impressive, and I love it. But there's no way that's fucking happening.
I know there's no fucking way. I get shit on daily about this.
Listen, it served its purpose, and maybe it could. Listen, you could do end arounds, you could do reverses. There's different things you can do with that. And like you said, moving that guy out of the backfield, it's just. But
the thing that you're doing, Justin, is you're challenging that nickel defense that everyone is heavy on now. So now
they're overpowering it.
They have to go back to a traditional 3-4 defense with 3 linebackers to stop that.
Well, yeah, it's funny.
And once you do that,
it has been cyclical. It has been cyclical, the NFL and its offenses for sure. But I mean, at the end of the day, you're going to need that quarterback to make some throws to win a football game in today's NFL. And you don't want to hamstring Caleb Williams in that kind of offense, I don't think. You're going to need some weapons on the outside to make some plays. And the Bears have too many of them right now to neglect them. I mean, DJ Moore and Rome Odunze, who I think is in for a huge season this year. How much do you set them back by running that kind of offense potentially is what I would start to think about as well. And then also
DJ Moore could allocating back there.
He could but allocating those kind of assets to draft wise to take 2 running backs in this draft would be a little that'd be very against the grain for sure.
Well, Ben Johnson stated at the owners' meeting in that press conference, he said he believes that there's a lot of really good running back talent that are potential undrafted free agents. They're going to bring in a plethora of guys. It's not going to be just whoever it is they draft. He's going to add during their training camp. He's going to have 4 or 5 guys.
You got Rashard Smith as a top 30 visit out of SMU right now for the Bears, right? And he's a speed guy that can play that receiver role. So I mean, the Bears are going to explore
Brown kind of guy.
Yeah, the Bears are going to explore a lot of options, and hopefully they do pay that homage, Shorty. But I don't know that it's that cycle has completed to that point to where it's coming back to bell bottoms quite yet.
It'll never happen. It's just it's my own personal wish. I know that one day when I'm dead and gone, hopefully somebody will be like, damn, Shorty was on to something back then,
Once AI says it's the best offense in football and robots are the ones playing football.
Exactly. AI suggests that the T formation is the best way to run an offense in the modern NFL.
Thanks, Grok. Listen, man. Are you still good? Are you staying with us? Or
I got like, I don't know, a couple minutes, and I got to get out of here. I got to go to bed. But
one more thing I wanted to bring up, because Field Yates's mock draft came out the other day, and I wanted to talk about this with Brandon. And since you're here, I want to talk to you about it. It was a 2-round mock draft, so the Bears' first 3 picks he mocked out. And I just want to know what people think about this, because I came in my pants a little bit when I read it, because I loved it. I loved it so much. Will Campbell at 10. He had Will Campbell at 10, who I fucking love. I think he's a left tackle. I think he's a stud left tackle in the NFL. And worst case scenario, he becomes an all-pro guard. But then in the second round, 39, Emeka Egbuka. And then at 41, Quinshon Judkins. So he had Will Campbell, Emeka Egbuka, your slot receiver, and then your power running back in Quinshon Judkins, who will eventually be your 3-down running back and who I think is the best running back in this draft. What do you think of that, Shorty?
I don't know who the second pick was, Emeka Egbuka.
He was a receiver out of Ohio State. He's the receiver out of Ohio State.
Yeah.
I love it. I fucking love it.
Isn't that the guy we just signed though to be a slot receiver?
I don't think Zacchaeus is that guy to me. I mean, I think he can be used in that role, but he's not Emeka Egbuka. No,
I think he's more of depth. But I like the first pick. If I'm not sure about tackle, but at guard, yeah, definitely for sure. And then the third pick was
Quinshon Judkins.
Love it.
Yes.
I mean, I'm not gonna. If the Bears drafted Omari and Hampton and with 10, or even with the second round pick, I might be a little like if they did it if they drafted him with the second round pick, I might be a little apprehensive.
Really?
I just think that there's better running backs than Omari and Hampton, like Judkins or Henderson.
I agree with you. Yeah. I like both of them better than him, yeah.
But I have no problem with offensive line at all. You can keep if all three of those picks were offensive linemen and they got a running back with this, with the third round pick, or do we have a third round pick?
Yeah, 72. They got the 72nd pick. Yeah.
If that was a running back, I'd be happy. I mean, we need, like you said, depth in the trenches, and it's about time we start building on that and see where it takes us.
See, I love the Will Campbell and the Judkins, but I don't know how I feel about using a second round pick on a receiver.
Me either, yeah.
I think a slot receiver is a guy that can be found in a mid round, to be honest. And Emeka Ibuka, as much as he is
Thanks, Sam Mass. Thanks for being
highly
here.
touted as one of the best receivers in this draft, I think they have him currently at like number 4, but he runs a 4.45. I want the Bears to get a slot guy that can just burn, man.
Bro, you've been advocating for Xavier Restrepo, who ran a 4.83.
I know, but you're not taking Restrepo with a second round pick either. If you're going to get,
that's what everybody keeps telling me. I think he's a third or fourth round pick.
If you're going to get a second round receiver, get a guy who brings it all to the table, man. You know what I mean?
I think Emeka Ibuka is a lot better. And I mean, honestly, here, what if we were to pull him out and Luther Burden fell? What if that was Luther Burden?
Luther Burden's a different story for sure.
that would be an amazing draft. I think the way it's laid out by Field Yates is insanely good. And listen, they're going offense with their first 3 picks. It makes sense. You just signed an offensive coach, but the Bears do need help on defense. So that is a little concerning, but again, you can't fill every need. But if you got your slot receiver, a guy who's a pro already, he's got a great attitude. This guy is a leader on his team, and he's a great fucking route runner. I don't know. He's not as good as Xavier Restrepo, but he's a great route runner. And you got Quinshon Judkins, who will be your every down back in a year or two after Swift is off of his contract and can be that power guy for your offense, which Ben Johnson desperately wants and needs. And you get Will Campbell, who I think is the best left tackle in this draft. I think he is a left tackle. I'll die on that hill until I'm proven wrong, because the guy went 28.
Find out, right?
Yeah, we will. But the guy went 28 games starting at left tackle in the SEC and didn't allow a sack. He's a fucking stud, and he started since he was a true freshman. So I don't see any reason why you would move him off. I think the Bears would be in a great spot if that were the draft they came away with, personally.
You know what I find interesting? The Bears, by all measures, when the season ended, right? The day the season ended, most fans were focused on 2 things: the offensive line and the defensive line. Now, the Bears went out and they shored up the interior offensive line. As far as we're concerned, we still have to see it on the field, but on paper they did.
100%.
They went out and got a young guy who hasn't proven himself in Dale on the edge, and they got a guy in Grady Jarrett who's definitely slowed down an awful lot from when he was in the prime of his career. And
overpaid for him, probably too.
All these mock drafts and all these podcasts, no edge rushers. It's just we just completely forgotten about this Nolan Void that the Bears should maybe spend a 10th overall pick on a guy who can get after the quarterback, or even a second rounder. I'm not even seeing edge between the first 3 or 4 picks for the Bears. And that, to me, guys, is what I want, an edge. And I want him early in this draft.
I like Mikael Williams. I really like Mikael Williams a lot. I think he'd be worth the pick at 10, Brandon, personally.
I want a game record. I watched that Eagles team. We all thought Mahomes was. Well, first off, we thought the Chiefs' offensive line was impenetrable, and we thought Patrick Mahomes was flawless. But if you can just kick someone's ass for 4 quarters, man, it doesn't matter what name's on the back of a jersey, right? And Nick Sirianni said that in an interview. He said people just kept telling, well, you're not concerned about Patrick Mahomes, and you're not concerned about the way Jayden Daniels, and you're not concerned. He just kept saying, like, we work hard every day. We work hard every day in practice. These guys all want to eat, and we do things well. We get after the Patrick Mahomes. We get after Jayden Daniels. That's what we do. And we're going to go out there and do it. And they did it for 4 fucking quarters, man. And it never looked like the field Chiefs were even on the same fucking field. I want edge rush, man.
If the Bears went all offensive and defensive line in this draft, I would be ecstatic. I like this. I like this draft from Field Yates because it's fun. But if they went all O line and all D line this entire draft, I would be extremely happy with that.
If they went all O-line and D-line and one running back, just the right one, I would be happy with it.
Quinshawn Judkins, yeah.
I think Shorty and I agree with you there, and I do think this draft is going to be very hard to project. It's going to be for any team, not just the Bears, because the talent is very similar from mid first round to maybe the early third round. But one thing that I would bet my life on, and I can guarantee you this, is they are going to get a running back in this draft.
Don't bet your life on it, just your left nut.
Yeah. Okay.
What if he already lost his left nut, Shorty?
Yeah. If I'm down to righty. Yeah. No, I do think this. I think that the Bears are absolutely. I think Ben Johnson is absolutely going to get a running back in this draft, and I don't mean an undrafted free agent. And I think this because we've said this on the show many times, Shorty. I've heard you guys talk about it. This is one of the stronger running back classes I've ever seen.
Yes,
it's very good on it. Yeah,
I think there's 5 or 6 guys that are going to be potential 10 career-long starters for whatever team it is that selects them.
I tried to talk myself out of Genty because I was like, I don't see his speed translating.
Everybody seems to be doing that.
But then I watch him run, and I'm like, oh, dude is running with 6 gears, but he's only in 5th gear most of the time. When he needs 6th gear, he's gone. And then I'm like, well, that definitely, it's like he's like toying with his opponents until he needs that speed and he's gone. And then I watch Henderson. I'm like, dude, that guy he's lightning quick compared to Genty in a different way. And he's got the hands and just the ball skills. Then I watch, Judkins, and I'm like, my God, he's a bruiser with the same qualities as Henderson. And then I watch Scadaboo, and I'm like, dude, if we just drafted Scadaboo and paired him with Swift for this year, for one season with Swift as a 1-2 punch, and we got rid of Swift and replace him next year with another running back, I'd be happy with that too. Just trenches.
I would not be happy with Scadaboo. I don't think it's
you hear these names, and you're not watching Arizona State, you're not watching North Carolina, you're not watching, and I finally, man, I don't watch Iowa. Matter of fact, I go out of my way not to watch. And when people said we drafted Torrey Taylor, I was like, I don't fucking know who that is. But Caleb Johnson, man, Caleb Johnson's tape is also. I mean, that guy is a starting running back in the NFL. There's no doubt about it. He reminds me of like a Leonard Fournette, but a little quicker on his feet. And he's good at the point of it's like he keeps his balance and he runs people over. I like that. So I guess you've got 5 or 6 guys in this draft, man. They're gonna make a difference for an NFL.
When Shorty was talking about Genty, I mean, in his gears, the most impressive thing to me about Genty when I watch him is that he doesn't drop down a gear when someone makes contact with him. Right. He maintains his speed. Like he'll get hit, but he'll bounce off of it, and he doesn't lose his speed. Like he's able to maintain contact balance and also maintain speed at the same time. And it does look like he's playing with his food a lot of times in that conference for sure. So there is something very intriguing about Genty. It's just I don't like the idea of taking him at 10 when you can get Judkins or Henderson or Caleb Johnson in the second. One of these guys or even a running back in the third potentially.
Hampton too. Yeah, there's just so many.
Yeah. I'd be fine with Hampton in the even the second or the third, but I don't think he's going to fall that.
Yeah, no, he'll end up gone by the time the Broncos pick. I would imagine the Broncos or the Chargers. One of those two teams needs that kind of guy. So there's a lot that's going to happen. This draft is going to be super unpredictable, I think. So it's fun to get into these mocks, but we can't lose sight of the fact, Brandon, like you were just saying. We still need defensive line help. Shorty, like you were saying, we still need depth in the offensive line. As Scottish Bears pointing out right here, 0 quality depth on the lines of scrimmage. We're one injury away from the same BS as last season. We need at least 2 quality on both. That's Scottish's point of view. So I like you were saying, Brandon, like we made these moves and it's like, it's cool. Obviously there should still be some reprehension, and we should still be wanting the Bears to continue to address the lines of scrimmage because that is what is shown to be successful in the NFL, period, point blank. End of story.
100%. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I pulled up so tonight we did a strictly a chat poll draft. So
Oh yeah, I saw how'd
it
that
was
go, man? I didn't
all
get a chance to.
so here's the results. If you wanted to pull it up, I presented it for you. If you want to
Let me
pull
see
it,
it. Let me
I
see
don't
it.
think I can pull it up. Yeah. So this was literally we polled the chat. Do we want to go? So we said first we said, do we want to make trades? And we said 0 trades, 1, 2, and 3 trades. The chat, 50 people, 60 people agreed that we were going to just do 1 trade. So we took that 1 trade and we
From
used it.
41. Yeah, you
Yeah,
moved from 41 to 50, it looks like, right?
right.
And you got
So,
the 82nd pick.
so this entire draft that we did on BCP tonight it was 100% chat poll driven. And
Okay.
this is what the majority of everyone said that they wanted. Ashton Genty at 10, Josh Connerly, offensive tackle at 39, trade down, get Landon Jackson at 50, Jonah, I can't pronounce his name.
Savenea.
Yeah.
Savenea.
Guard, Darius Alexander, defensive tackle from
I
Toledo.
like him.
I think
Mitch
his name's
Evans.
actually Savalene. I think that's how his name's pronounced.
Savalene. Where's the L? Show me an L in that name.
Savayane.
Yeah, Savaya.
Yeah,
There's no L.
But
But anyways.
Yeah, so by 240, we were like, okay, we're gonna just draft somebody. You guys, nobody, it got too late in the show.
Afton Chisholm.
It's actually pronounced
San
Diego, which is Spanish for a whale's vagina.
Afton Chisholm. That's an interest. I draft that guy just for his fucking name.
No shit, right?
I love this draft,
dude. Your first 3 picks. If the Bears got away with that,
the first 5 picks are really.
But I'm just talking
really
about. We were just talking about getting a running back, but have not neglecting your lines. I mean, look at this. You have Landon Jackson, who I love. Yeah. I love.
Josh Connerly is a sneaky
by the way,
potential.
Josh
to be
Connerly, I think right now, guys, is about to break a record for the most pro 30 visits with teams. Or all 30 visits. This guy right now has visited with like 18 NFL teams on their all 30 visits.
Wow.
The teams, the NFL right now, the GMs in the NFL see something in this kid.
Brandon, he has sneaky potential to be the best left tackle out of this draft.
Yeah,
he really does. And there was a lot of talk about that going into this whole process, and he started to fall down boards, but he could still be the best left tackle in this draft. And the Bears got him 39th pick in this. And
the Savayane guy has also been visited with a lot of teams. So yeah,
he has swing tackle potential too. So he could still move to left tackle potentially. He played that in college and he's big enough to play it, but people do see that transition to the guard for him. And Darius Alexander is the 3 tech.
And this is 50 plus people that we polled every single question down to the pick. So we did.
Oh, these are smart. These are smart fans. Is the really?
Yeah, this is the fan base taking this over and saying we want Ashton Genty, overwhelmingly at 10 if he's there, which he was, and then so on and so forth. So I just think that this kind of is an homage to what the fan base thinks, and it's an impressive draft. I would be happy with it.
I would be fucking ecstatic with this draft.
It's a very cool idea.
That's the best case scenario. If you draft Ashton Genty to get these the next 4 players you get after him, that's the best case scenario to me. I think if you take him at 10.
Yeah, and even Evans is no slouch either, man. I mean, Notre Dame tight ends consistently transition to the NFL.
To be average tight ends in the NFL, yes. Notre Dame tight ends do have the potential to be average tight ends in the NFL.
Yeah, we talked about that too. It's just another Cole Kmet.
Another Michael Mayer.
Yeah, I think the verdict's out there for sure.
Yes, they do have that potential. But no, I love this draft. Your fans are obviously very smart, and if the Bears were to pull this off, you're addressing a good amount of needs, and you're also getting very good talent. There's potential. I mean, Josh Connerly at 39, there's huge potential there to be a giant steal. Landon Jackson at 50, huge potential to be a giant steal. Jonas Savanea, he becomes your guy who takes over for Jonah Jackson when he gets injured, or if you move on from him, or if you don't re-sign Tooney, you know. So this is forward thinking and current, which is awesome.
Darius Alexander is very similar in size and stature to Tommy Harris.
Yeah.
I mean, he could be the 3-tech.
He is your 3. He would be the guy that rotates with Grady Jarrett in my mind. And while you're here, Shorty, listen, I know you're staying up late, man. You've been going all day. We want to get you out of here, but I do want to ask you, because I haven't really been able to since the Bears signed him. What are your thoughts on Grady Jarrett as a Chicago Bear? Because I know you're down there in Atlanta. You've been watching.
To love that response.
I want your honest thoughts.
That's a vote of confidence.
None of these. I think back to like the 2000 whatever season 8-9 when they went out and got Julius Peppers, right? You knew that they were breaking the bank to win now, right? Like that was it. That was
like Christmas for Bears fans. Yes.
Yeah, it was it. And I look at this. I hear everyone, all the pundits saying that this is, they had the best offseason of all the teams and blah blah blah. And I question that, because I have been so over the top, 11-6 season, 11-6 season, 13-4 season, and last 3 predictions, that I feel like I'm going to do myself a disservice by getting too excited by any one of these guys. And so I have to take a step back and go, is Grady Jarrett, he's kind of past his prime. He had an injury. Is he going to be able to perform the same way? I look at Jonah Jackson. I'm like, okay, well, you might as well have just brought back Tevin Jenkins for $3 million.
Like the Browns. The Browns got a good deal on him.
1 year, $3 million. Yeah. To me, that's almost the same player. Especially if Ben Johnson would have just gone, "Hey, he's a right guard, not a left guard." That's simple. So I'm apprehensive about
Grady Jarrett specifically. What do you see from him? What's he going to bring to this Bears defense from a guy who's been watching him in Atlanta? You got season tickets, so I'm curious.
I'm apprehensive. Okay. I'm gonna say that
it's an overpay. It's an overpay in your mind.
Yeah, I think it's an overpay for a guy that might not play 10 games. So I think that if we can draft someone like you said, the trenches.
Mm-hmm. And Darius Alexander in that mock.
If we can add some depth to the offensive line with the guys we got that can learn behind those guys, and we can add some depth to the defensive line that can learn behind Grady Jackson, I think that's the best scenario for the Bears. As far as getting all pro talent out of the guys that we traded for and or signed, I'm not 100% sold on that. I'm more looking for what can we build through this draft to add to that depth, to learn from those signings that can add to this team for the future, because those guys are just stopgaps, in my opinion.
Can I tell you, listen, he seems to be he's obviously, 30 years old, and his best playing days are behind him, and you knew that when they signed him. But is it valid to say that he does bring a leadership and a change in culture, a strong presence in this locker room that will build up and lift up the guys around him? Is that a fair? Because that was the thing I was most excited about.
100%. As long as you can add to that in depth with players that can learn from those talents, right?
Yeah. And then obviously, if you sign a guy who's 30 years old, you better draft a guy who you're hoping to replace him with once he ages out. I agree with you 100% there.
Yeah, because what more do you expect to get out of Grady Jackson beyond this year, or Joe Tooney beyond this year, or even next year? What more do you expect to get out of Jonah Jackson after this year, especially with his injuries?
I'm feeling a little awkward about asking you to be our expert on Grady Jarrett, and you keep calling him Grady Jackson.
Yeah, sorry. Sorry.
I felt the same.
Thank you, Shorty.
To be honest with you, Shorty, I felt a little bit of the same when they signed Grady Jarrett. A lot of people were texting me and messaging.
You mean Grady Jackson?
Yeah. Sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. I mispronounced. I misspoke. I wasn't as lifted as everybody else was, man. I wasn't. I still think, and I've said this. I'm on record saying this a lot. If you don't do anything else to this defensive line, let's call it what it is. This is what it is day one. This is what it is the rest of the season. You're not inside the top 15 in the league. I truthfully don't believe that. I still think you're missing a lot on this defensive line, man. I do.
And you got to address it in the draft. Yeah.
Got to build those trenches on both sides. Take what you've gotten in these trades and signings and get players that can learn from that veteran presence behind them.
Fuck
so
yes.
that when they're gone in a year or, two, then you got someone who just says,
that better be exactly what Poles was saying to his entire staff when they were planning on signing Grady Jarrett. Exactly what you just said, Shorty.
Yep.
Yeah, and you get, and like you said, man, you're 11-6, you're 11-6, you're 13-5. I'm tired of being the best team in March.
You got to recognize your bias there. Yeah.
I don't care if we're the best team in March every year. If when the season rolls around, we're not winning football games.
Yeah, when I want to stop watching them in week 3, that's a problem.
PJ pointed this out to me that we were the legitimate consensus winners of the offseason for 3 years running.
I know we always are. It's our greatest achievement every year.
So you want to take the last 2 years and crown playoffs out of those teams, and we barely won 7 games in 2 years.
Vegas is your indicator here because they have not predicted the Bears to have more than 8.5 wins in any of those years. I think it was 5.5 the year before, and they're plus 450 right now to win the NFC North, tied with the Vikings for last. So your buddy is probably fading the Bears if he's smart, or if he just stays away from the Bears because he's a Bears fan.
He'll probably predict 6 wins, and I'll be like, "You're a fucking you're gonna win 12 games." This is what I want to leave here with asking you this question. I know the schedule's not out yet, but we know the teams that they're playing.
Yeah.
And we know what home and away games are. We don't know, the schedule. But do you think, do you guys predict a winning season?
Whew, that's tough, Brandon.
Meaning what? 9 games?
9 wins, Brandon? That's such a tough question to answer right now.
As it's Shorty today, no, I don't. No,
I don't either.
I think they're in an extremely tough division. I don't like playing the Eagles. I don't like playing the Ravens. I think the Bengals are going to be a very good. You're playing the AFC North and the NFC. This is
the toughest divisions in football. You are in one of them, and then you're playing the other one.
I think the AFC West is the best division in football. But you're talking about.
I think the AFC North might be
the next best. I don't, and then I think you're actually playing a team from the AFC West too. I think it's the Raiders. Yeah, it is. But I think the schedule last year was kind of laid out for them to be a more successful team. It's getting substantially harder.
Fucking blew it. And they fucking blew it.
So I'm going to say no.
Yeah. You go into the season, you're like, oh, well, they've got the easiest schedule. Oh, they got the,
Panthers, Jaguars, Patriots, Cardinals. Like, this is 5 wins in a row. Fuck.
So I'm not doing that to myself anymore. I've convinced myself I'm going to predict a losing record until they can prove me otherwise. And I'm going to probably end up going 6 or 7 wins.
Sure,
and I hope I'm wrong.
I projected them the year before. This is the first year I got caught up in the hype. The year before, I predicted them for 5 wins. The year before that, I predicted them for 3 wins. I did not expect much out of this team. And this past year, I got caught up in it, and I'm really upset with myself for it, to be honest.
Yeah, me too.
I'll say 8 wins seems like a good place to start for Ben Johnson in building up. Now, if they go out and kill this draft and you start hearing good vibes coming out of training camp and Ben Johnson is lighting the fire under everyone's ass.
Well, and I don't think there's any bias. I think it's
8 wins seems like a good starting point.
We're all pretty damn informed, man. And I don't think there's because people are going to shit on you for saying the Bears don't come out and have a double-digit win season and make the playoffs and win a fucking Super Bowl. I think it's fair to say that the Bears are a year away from being something that could wreak some havoc in this league.
They're on the right track.
Here's the thing, Shorty. You have 2 tremendous ifs, and I don't think it's so much related to the draft and how this roster is built moving forward. If Caleb Williams is a future franchise elite quarterback in the NFL. And if Ben Johnson is the person that we hired him to be, that guy who he was in Detroit, if he's the same person as a head coach that he was as a play caller, the Bears are going to be special at some point. I believe that firmly. I don't
And
know that it's this year.
if those things are going to be true, Brandon, you're going to see a lot of glimpses of those this season. If those
glimpses, but it won't it won't come together that quickly. It just
you're
can't.
right. This is the foundation. You're building this, and then this what you do this year is what you're going to start building on top of. So it better be something good. You know what I mean? You don't have to go out and win a Super Bowl. You better put something together here.
You don't want any cracks
that you feel good about. Yeah.
No. Yeah,
but
I agree,
this is the gauntlet when it comes to your division, your opponents for 2025. This is rough, man.
I like every year I'm like, we're gonna kick the Packers' ass, and then we fucking lose both games, and I honestly can't believe we won that last game. I can't believe it. I'm still like, wait, we beat the Packers? I can't believe we beat the Packers.
Yeah, it felt like a fever. It felt like a fever dream.
The first game when they were going up, they were lining up for the field goal. I sat there with my head in my hands.
Oh, yeah.
Like, there's no way they're going to make this.
Get this. I watched that game with a friend of mine's a Packers fan. We try to get together for at least one of the games per year, and he looks at me and he goes, after we got ourselves in position to kick that field goal, he looks at me and he goes, "Well, looks like you won." And before I said, "Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Don't." And then I was like, dude, the Bears are going to find a way. Just trust me. They're going to find a way to lose this football game. And he's telling me you're nuts. And I think he's just upset because he's thinking the Packers have lost this game. He's like, you're nuts. It happens. And I look at him. I'm like, just get out. Get out. Get the fuck out, man.
No, I felt grim when they lined up for that field goal. And I was watching with my wife, or she was on TikTok and I was watching it. But I looked right at her and I said, the Bears are going to miss this.
Right? I was like, me too.
Yeah.
I was like, I had no confidence whatsoever.
Well, the Washington game killed our confidence. Everything bad seemed possible after that game. Everything bad, because that was the ultimate kick in the fucking nuts, man. That was one of the harder games I've seen as a Bears fan.
That was such a kick in my nuts because not only was we have a good friend in chat. O'Toole is a Lions fan. I was so rooting for the Lions to go win the Super Bowl. I wanted them to represent the North. I was rooting for them in the playoffs, and they knocked them out of the fucking playoffs. The Commanders, and they also knocked out the Falcons. If the Falcons would have won that game at the end of the season, they would have won the division. I would have, for the first time in my season ticket holder life of the Falcons,
been able to sell some playoff tickets,
right? Or because I also they're built in. So if the Bears come here for a home game, in Atlanta, I get those tickets. I can go to that game, right?
Yeah.
Or I can sell them and I can make my money back.
Yeah.
And they knocked the Falcons out. They knocked my Super Bowl favorite out. They knocked the Bears. They
knocked the Bears out.
Season. And not only that, but you saw me opening the cards, right? I have like 15 fucking Jaden Daniels rookie cards.
I saw that. And Bo Nix. You got an abundance.
Bo Nix, Michael Penix.
Real quick. Well, first off, completely off topic. I'm looking at their opponents here, and every team's listed, and for some fucking reason, and every team has just their standard logo. There's like this special logo for the Packers, and it says Green Bay Packers Incorporated. It's the only team that's listed that way on this website. But I want to ask you, Shorty, what do you think about Michael Penix with season tickets and all? I'm curious. What did you think when they picked Michael Penix, and what do you think of it now?
My first thought was, I can't stand lefty quarterbacks.
It looks so strange.
To anyone that's a lefty, I apologize, but lefty quarterbacks there's only been Steve Young,
right here,
Steve Young, and what's his name for the Raiders back in the day. That's like the only two lefties that didn't make me feel like I was throwing left-handed when I watched them throw the ball. You know what I mean?
No, it's strange. It's strange to watch, man.
Yeah. So I mean, I never really got behind it. I'm not a Falcons fan, of course. I just have season tickets because they were cheap and I can make my money back. Yeah. And by the way, it's really cheap to go to a game. I mean, I've got, and this is not a joke. I've said this a million times. A cheeseburger, a chicken finger basket, a beer, and a water for $13.
Holy shit!
That's one beer at Soldier Field.
Yep.
And that's not a joke. It's not a joke.
I pay that much just walking to my truck to go to work.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's my season tickets are like $1,000 for two seats for the whole year.
It's crazy.
Yeah, that is.
I mean, the Bears, they keep raising. Oh, by the way, the Falcons give me all this swag. I get to pick from all these awesome gifts that they give me, and I know people that own season tickets for the Bears, and they don't offer them anything. They don't give them any swag. They don't give them anything. They don't even give them the rights to. So, like, if Beyonce comes to a Mercedes-Benz Stadium, I get first. If Taylor Swift comes to,
you got right to first refusal on that.
Yes, and I get to buy the tickets for face value before they even go on sale. They don't do that for the Bears fans at Soldier Field because they don't own the rights to the stadium.
No, I think the season tickets for the Bears comes with a complimentary kick in the nuts.
Yeah, it totally does.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm so for them going to Arlington Heights. Not only would it be so, my family is in Woodstock, Crystal Lake. So whenever I go home,
they're out by me. I'm out in Round Lake.
Dude, you're in Round Lake. I grew up in Round Lake.
I grew up in Round Lake, shorty.
I went to high school in Round Lake, bro.
I work in Woodstock.
That's where I live. Yeah.
I work in Woodstock.
No, I just moved. We just bought a house out. We just bought a house out here. I went to school at Highland Park High School, actually. But,
oh, okay. So, dude, I went to Round Lake High School, bro. God, what the hell?
I grew up in Grays Lake, your neighbor.
You grew up in Grays Lake?
Yep.
Yeah, and I work in Woodstock.
You grew up in Grays Lake?
I did.
Yeah, we're out here, man.
What?
Yeah, we're out here.
Oh, dude. So you know Sammy's?
Of course, Sammy's.
Oh,
yeah. That was my first job.
Fuck yeah, that place is awesome.
Yeah, it's a good place to get a dog, man.
Grays Lake and Round Lake. Yep.
That was my first job, bro. Sammy's, the owner, Dave, he's going to sponsor us.
Oh, really?
Which one did you work at?
Badass.
Round Lake or Grays Lake?
I worked at the Round Lake one on Rollins.
Yeah, so I go there often. Yeah.
So you know where the Walgreens is?
Yeah, on Cedar Lake. It's right down the street. Yeah, yeah.
Well, Sammy's was there before he sold it to Walgreens.
Oh, nice.
And then he moved it down the block to that bar that he converted into Sammy's.
Is that how he got the money to be able to open the Grays Lake one?
Yes, and then he opened up one in Lake Villa.
Nice.
Get
out of here, dude! You guys are that's awesome, dude. So next time I come home, dude. All right. I'm gonna email you and give you my number. Let's hang out next time.
Yeah, let's make some plans for sure.
Definitely,
no doubt.
I can't believe you guys are like.
Yeah, we're right in your
home area, dude.
Stomping grounds. We're holding it down for you, shorty. Don't
worry. That is like super special. Oh, yeah. Lester Wiltfong Jr. You know him?
Yeah.
Lester Wiltfong Jr. from the Windy City Gridiron.
Yeah.
He went to Round Lake High School.
Oh, really?
He graduated the year before I was a freshman, and he's been on the show many times.
Yeah, he's cool.
Awesome.
He's cool. Yeah,
I'm beside myself.
Serendipitous is the word.
I am beside myself right now.
This is why we like each other. This is
absolutely, dude. I knew why I liked you guys. Like, dude, you and your Grays Lake High School, and like putting up. Did you go? So you went to Grays Lake High School, right?
I did. Yeah.
Fucking prep.
Big gym that they built there. Oh yeah. You guys fucked us in Round Lake.
Well, that didn't last long after you left. I'll tell you that right now, man.
Dude, that's so awesome. I cannot believe that. I am like seriously beside myself right now. That is so awesome.
Yeah, and
we're gonna hang out, dude.
I work in Woodstock.
Fucking do it.
Where your fam's at.
So my aunt lives in Woodstock. My mom lives in Crystal Lake. And what I would say. Okay, so when I go home, my cousin lives out of Fox Lake, so if I take the Fox Lake train to the Bears game, it doesn't go to Arlington Park, but if I take the Woodstock train or the Crystal Lake train, it goes right to Arlington Park. It goes right there.
It's a great setup. I mean, I think that's where the Bears are going to end up. I think it makes the
I hope
most
so.
sense. I do too, because the fans deserve better. I mean, leaving especially coming back to the suburbs, man, leaving a Bears game is fucking insane. It's just insane getting in and out of there. It would have to be better in Arlington Heights, right? Like, just have to. There's no public transportation to really get to from where they're at right now.
No, you got to take the train and you have to walk 5 miles or 3 miles.
And they just almost like they knew we were coming. They just widened 53 and Arlington Heights Road, so like traffic won't be as brutal, obviously.
Dude, I crazy. Can't believe that. So should I reply to this email that you sent me for the StreamYard, or should I just reply to the Brandon one? I'm gonna reply to that one.
Yeah. Mine went automatically defaulted to my wife's email when I said that. I was doing it on the fly there, so yeah, don't reply to that one.
I'm giving you guys my number, dude.
Yeah, for sure, bro. Next time you're up here, make sure for sure that you stay in touch.
I definitely will, dude. I'll be coming.
We're gonna do this again
Mother's Day.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
You got Shorty. You got to get on with the. We got a couple. I don't know if you ever watched. We got a couple other hosts here too at 4 stars. We're just half the stars here.
We're the better half, but yeah.
I've seen the other guys. I like the other guys, but I don't know. You guys are special. I like you guys.
Yeah, we're different. We're built different.
Yeah, I know you have because I remember like, is that Brandon, or does he have a twin brother? And I'm his twin.
Yeah. There's an ugly version of me out there in the world.
I like the ugly version of you, but I like you more. And you guys are awesome. I really, we do our show on Thursdays. I get done. I'm trying to download stuff and upload stuff, for audio streaming stuff. And I watch you guys, and I just think you guys are awesome. And I love how I
watch your show right before I dive into this, man.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah,
I see you guys are building your show quickly. It's pretty cool to watch it grow, and I really appreciate you guys having me on tonight. I mean, I wish we could. I wish all of us could make it, at some point, but we'll try to work that out. Yeah,
man.
Yeah,
it's been our pleasure.
We'll make that happen, man. I mean, yeah, like I said, man, it's an honor to have you on here, dude. I love watching your guys' show is fucking awesome, man. The dynamic you guys have is different. I haven't seen any of the stuff you do on any other podcast, and I sincerely mean that, man. I've had a lot of since I've started doing this, man. I have networked. I've had a lot of people shout out at me and say, "Hey, check us out," and I have, man. And I'm earnest in what I say when somebody says, "Check us out." I watch it. I do. You're the people that I consistently watch. When I get the notification, I subscribed, and when I see it, I watch. I haven't done that with most others because I just feel like it's regurgitated. I'll be honest.
I hear you. Me too.
Yeah, guys, Bear Country Podcast. I'm sure a lot of the people here are guys that are constantly in your chat, Shorty. But check out Bears Country Podcast for anybody who's watching this that's never checked them out. Shorty is the shit. PJ is awesome. Foster is insane, and he will light up a cigarette and talk to you about the Bears. Yeah, I love him, man. He's great. I like he jumped in last week under Mo Lester.
Mo Lester, yeah. Yeah. My crew is absolutely amazing.
And then who's
Carl too? Yeah,
Carl. Carl's a shit too. It's cool. You got yourself a producer, man. It's cool.
I couldn't do it without my guys, man. There's been so many times I just wanted to quit and just be like, I can't do this anymore. It's just too much, But these guys have kept me going, and everyone in chat, Scottish Bear, Amos, everyone that you guys have in your chat too. They're a part of our chat, and you guys all make it, worth it. And dude, knowing that you're from my stomping grounds, dude, I cannot wait to come back home and hit you guys up. I just emailed you, gave you my number. Oh, it's an 847 area code. Sorry.
Yeah.
Still got the 847. Fuck yeah. Never let it go.
I fucked up the area code, but it's an 847.
Yeah, I got you.
Just shoot me a text, and I would love to hang out with you guys, man. This will make it easier if we want to, conglomerate again too.
100%.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we'll just do it through phones for sure.
Yeah, I'm terrible with email and Twitter and all that stuff. It's a lot easier just to text me. So shoot me a text, guys, and we'll definitely hang out for sure, man.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you guys for having me on, man. It's been a pleasure. You guys are awesome. I love watching you guys. You guys keep up the great work. You know, it's paying off for you guys, and the best part is that you don't seem to care. You're just doing your own thing.
Yeah,
You're
hell
doing
yeah.
your
You
own
know
thing.
us well.
And you do your thing, and that's all that's going to matter. Everyone will recognize it.
Yeah, you know what we do, Shorty? We do the fucking bare minimum.
So do we. Like, I have no idea what I'm going to talk about 5 seconds before the show, and then it just happens. So, thank
We
you, Scott.
appreciate the kind words, Shorty, and we appreciate your support, man. And you brought people from you guys' show that are now in our chat consistently. So we love the networking, man, and you're a fucking cool dude. So thank you so much for getting on. We're about to do our top 5 Val Kilmer movies of all time.
You guys have fun with that, man. Val Kilmer was awesome. It's sad, you know, what happened to him, but he's a legend. You guys have fun with that. I'm like, my stomping grounds. I'm honored to be on here with you guys. It's so awesome.
Honored to have you, brother.
All right, you guys have a great night. We'll talk soon.
All right, take it easy, bro.
Thanks again, man. Well, that's awesome.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I'm glad he wanted the link and jumped in, and then we find out that he's from where you're from and where I'm now living, and I've always been in this area. You know, Mike and Jason and Laura and everybody out here. I would always be in Round Lake. So yeah, it's a cool coincidence.
Yeah, Shorty's the man, guys. Check out Barrett Country Productions, guys. Great show, and Scottish Barrett couldn't say it better. They are hilariously funny. Those guys make more than just sports content. They are entertainment for sure.
And that's what we want to be too. So it works. The mixture works.
Yeah,
man. Let's get into this because it's fucking almost 1:30.
Yeah. That's all right. It's Val Kilmer time.
Yeah, I think we got to everything we wanted to get to, and Shorty was a great guest. So fuck yeah.
Yeah, he brought it, man. He brought the heat, and I'm glad to I was actually very glad to get a third perspective on a lot of the stuff we wanted to dive into on that show, man, for sure.
Yeah.
All right, Val Kilmer, guys, living legend. Rest in peace. First off, guys, very sad. Obviously, struggled with illness for a very long time in his latter years. I know he had a couple of surgeries on his throat. I believe it was throat cancer. Correct, Dustin? He was a smoker. Val Kilmer, but guys, start by saying this, Dustin. We spoke about it before the show. This just says enough about Val Kilmer in itself. It was so hard for me to do this to pick 5 movies that I like from Val Kilmer. Yeah, but my 5 favorite is like
there are standout roles that just you know are going to be on that list, but there's
and then you go honorable mention, and I just see my list is growing and growing and growing, and I'm thinking to myself, like, should I have done Val Kilmer's top 25 movies?
Well, let's start with the honorable mention. Both of our honorable mention is going to be True Romance. He plays Elvis. Christian Leitner.
It's a very small cameo. That's why we didn't, because True Romance is a good enough film to be on this list.
True Romance is my number 1 movie of all time, Brandon. It is my favorite movie of all time.
It's not a Val Kilmer film, guys. It was the first movie that Quentin Tarantino made that was directed. So he didn't direct it. Quentin Tarantino wrote the film, but he was a young guy. He was just cracking in the film industry. So he wasn't established enough to direct his own movie. It was his first movie produced, though. So if that says, if that doesn't speak volumes, this is a Quentin Tarantino film. But yes, honorable mention, True Romance.
Val Kilmer plays Elvis in this, and he's basically Kevin Bacon's conscious as. Sorry, why am I saying Christian Slater's conscious as Elvis? I just saw an ad for Kevin Bacon
and Val Kilmer as Elvis. Come on, like.
Yeah,
of course you cast Val Kilmer as Elvis, man.
Best cameo of all time in a movie.
Another couple honorable mentions. I'm gonna package them together, guys. I don't have them on my top 5 just because I love Val Kilmer and I love the role he plays in both films. I don't have him as a top 5 Val Kilmer movie. Top Gun and Top Gun Maverick. He's
awesome in Maverick. He can't speak, but he's communicating with Tom Cruise, and it's emotional, it's heartfelt. That new Top Gun is
and the two movie. Of them.
He's a huge part of it.
And the two of them are very close friends outside of film as well. So you could tell that the scene was easy to shoot because they're literally friends talking to each other in the film. It comes off very genuinely.
Very heartfelt. And then Val Kilmer's character actually passes away in the movie.
Yes,
like
he
wow.
does. Yes. Yeah.
So kind
It
of
was easy to play that too, spin that too, because he has
yeah.
the illness he has obviously in real life. Another one of mine, Dustin. It was kind of a straight to stream movie. I don't know that it wasn't like I don't think out in the theaters or anything like that. But Felon, he plays kind of like the OG inside a prison. You know, what I mean,
The
he's the
Yard
guy who's
Boss.
been there.
Yeah.
Yeah, the guy who's been there forever, and he's kind of taken Stephen Dwarf under. Well, not he. The whole film, you're not really sure if he's if he's like the good guy or the bad guy, but he's an awesome character. The film is awesome, and the ending of the movie is also incredible. I'm not going to spoil anything for anyone who hasn't seen it, because if you haven't, go watch Felon. But another good role by Val
It's a
Kilmer.
7. It's a 7 on IMDb. So
It's a
yeah.
really good film. I almost had it on my list. I did, man. It was one of those I contemplated. Another one that everybody's familiar with, The Saint. The Saint is a movie that it's an honorable mention for me. I don't have it in my top five, but one of his best roles. He carries the film.
He is the film.
He's not surrounded by a whole lot of talent in
Yeah.
this movie.
I'm not
Man.
gonna comment too much on that one.
Yeah.
But my honorable mention that I do want to throw out there is MacGruber. It's a Saturday Night Live film. It got universally panned. It was not good, but it's fucking hilarious. And Val Kilmer plays the
They
bad
don't
guy.
have to be good. They make you laugh.
Val Kilmer plays the bad guy, and he plays it so straight. It's just hilarious, man. Check out Val Kilmer and MacGruber.
All right, I think when we do so those are our honorable mentions, guys. I think when we do our best 5 films, Dustin, I think we should start with our fifth best film. That's where we should lead.
All right, what's your fifth? What's your fifth?
It is Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, guys. I think this is one of the most underrated films in history. It is
fucking awesome.
It's a thriller, if you will, but it is hilarious. It is Robert Downey Jr. and Val Kilmer in the same movie. I don't know if I even need to say much more than that, but guys, if you've never seen this, I just remember laughing through almost the entire film.
Their back and forth is
Val
just
Kilmer plays a
unbelievable.
homosexual character, a homosexual
He's
man.
a homosexual private eye.
And he couldn't do it better. And just to like refresh my memory, man. I watched Deja Vu was also
Deja Vu is a good honorable mention.
Denzel, man. Denzel. Yeah. But the scene where where Robert Downey's pretending to play roulette, and the gun goes off. He goes, I mean, there's 6 chambers in a gun. He goes, I had 1 bullet. It was like an 8% chance. Like,
dude, Val Kilmer, his complete just disdain for Robert Downey Jr. and every interaction they have, he plays it so well. It's perfect.
It's like they're the annoyed older brother. It's phenomenal.
Are you fucking serious? Are you? Yeah, no.
And Robert Downey's a character from New York, so he's bold. He's annoying. You know what I mean? It's good. The dynamic was incredible. What's your 5?
Willow. I'm gonna have Willow as my 5. And listen, it's a nostalgic thing for sure. It was a movie that I watched often as a child, and he plays an awesome
one of my favorite character names ever.
Yeah, say it for me, please.
Mad Mardigan is one of my
Mardigan. Yeah,
is one of my favorite names of a character in any film.
I mean, he's the ultimate badass in the movie. He kicks everyone's ass and he's basically why am I blanking on the dude's name from Lord of the Rings?
Viggo Mortensen, Aragorn.
Yeah, Aragorn. He's basically Aragorn before Aragorn. He protects the Willow. He protects the
little person.
Yeah, and the baby throughout the entire movie, and does it very well. He becomes a human giant snowball, which is pretty cool. Listen, I haven't watched the movie in forever, so I don't remember.
He fights trolls.
Yeah.
It's got some very poor CGI, but Val Kilmer still makes it.
I love it. He's Aragorn before Aragorn. Willow's my number 5, man.
Mad Mardigan, man, for sure.
It's one of his best characters of all time. I'm thinking more Val Kilmer's characters than
he's great. Yeah. I mean, you can't help but root for Mad Mardigan, dude. And the movie, and he's introduced hanging in a cage where he's left to die, and he's so cynical and just jaded, like he's just hoping that
he's just like
sooner.
Yeah. And when someone comes, he doesn't even want their help. Like he's yeah, it's great.
And then Willow comes along and he starts to beg, obviously, because he does in fact want to live. And then
Yeah.
he kind of has a debt of life towards Willow. Um, number 4 for me, man. I think it's probably the best depiction of an actor playing a real life musician is The Doors. He obviously plays the role of Jim Morrison. The movie gives you a lot of
Great
insight on
fucking movie, yeah.
things you probably didn't know about the Doors if you're not a big fan of the music, but it's still a phenomenal movie, even if you don't like the music. I believe Val Kilmer did the
He
singing,
sang.
correct?
He sang.
Yes.
When he
Yep.
auditioned, they were completely blown away at how much he sounded
He
like Jim
sounds he's
Morrison.
which guys,
Yeah.
I mean, sounds like Jim Morrison. I mean, just imagine that's just one of the things he had as like a side talent. Like I sound like I'm a great, phenomenal actor, one of the best actors, but I also sound just like Jim Morrison. I mean, come on.
You know, I went back and forth on whether to put The Doors on here because the movie is not one of my favorite. It becomes difficult. Are you talking about the character or Val Kilmer, or are you talking about the movie? You know what I'm saying?
That's
The
why
character,
Top Gun's not on my list
yeah,
because
yeah.
I,
But
I don't love the movies, man.
the
Especially
character,
the first one.
the character he plays as Jim Morrison deserves to be very high on this list if you're trying to pay homage to Val Kilmer. So
Yeah.
I kept The Doors on my list and I got them higher up. My number 4 is Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, which we already talked about. But fucking just a completely slept on, underrated movie that should be watched by everyone for sure. Val Kilmer is amazing in that movie. It's one of his better roles. And my number 3, man,
By the way, he was nominated for an Academy Award playing Jim Morrison. He did not win it though.
yeah, my number 3 is gonna be The Doors, which you just had there. I mean, it's his best, it's his most known role. It's like his best role, probably the best acting that he's done. It's hard not to put it at number 1 in terms of from a character's perspective of characters Val Kilmer has played. It's a solid movie. It's long as hell, man, but it's worth
And
the watch.
probably, in all honesty, Dustin, probably his second best job acting in a film, I would say, is The
Yeah,
Door.
yeah, 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 yeah. You're right. You're right. It's second, and the one that he's first in should be number 1 on this list, probably.
And it should, and maybe maybe the best character ever played
Yeah,
in a
yeah,
film.
my favorite
I would
character.
stand for
Another one that's nostalgic for me. But we were talking before about like in terms of like a biopic on a musical artist. He knocks it out of the park. It's probably the best of all time. If you're gonna put anyone in there to compete with him, I think it would be Jamie Foxx as Ray, in terms of a
Yep.
guy who nailed that
That
character
was
that they were
when I
playing.
thought, is there a better music film than Val Kilmer's playing Jim Morrison? It was Jamie Foxx playing Ray Charles for sure.
Yeah, when you watch those movies, you're looking at how that actor portrays that person. The movie's never going to be that great. It's just the reality of it
And
because it's never going to be as good as the real story.
Ray Charles was able to take the film and like a listen, you know, I mean, obviously not watch, but he said that Jamie Foxx couldn't have done a better job
Yeah.
when he was able
So
to.
my number 5 is Willow. My number 4 is Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. My number 3 is The Doors. Your number 5 was
Kiss Kiss Bang Bang,
number 4 was The Doors, and number 3 for you is
The Ghost and the Darkness.
I don't have it
Guys,
on my list. I don't
this
have
is
it
the
on my list.
Beast. This is Beast. Idris Elba's Beast. Long before it ever came out. I'll tell you why this movie fascinates me in a lot of ways. First off, I can probably state every line from this film. I watched it as a kid 100 times once I saw it. Michael Douglas is just as good as Val Kilmer in this movie. They play characters Remington, a hunter, a professional hunter. This is like in the early 1900s when this story occurred. It's based off a very true story. And he plays the character Patterson, who's building a bridge in Africa, but also has the ability to hunt. He's done some hunting in his life as
And the
well.
Lions are fucking everybody up that's
And
working on
lions
that
are
bridge.
murdering people, and I say murder
Yeah.
because they're not actually consuming the people they kill. They're just doing it for fun. If you go to the Field Museum in Chicago, the lions of Savo, the actual taxidermed bodies of these lions are still there, and you can read the story. They believe that these two lions possibly killed upwards to 133 people. But once again, Val Kilmer, I mean, the hero of the fucking day. This guy's facing against lions in this movie.
Yeah, no, it's a badass movie, and I love the movie, but I couldn't put it on my top 5 for Val Kilmer because I don't think it's better than the other roles that he's played in these other movies. But
Yeah, I'm
the
not
movie
gonna,
is good.
dude. It's all
Yeah.
you. It's like I'm not gonna say what
It's an
you're
honorable
five or you're
mention for me.
five. Yeah.
It's an honorable mention
Great,
for me.
Great movie. It did kind of when you talk about Val Kilmer, man. So I saw and I posted this. I posted the film on my Facebook and said, let's not forget about this one because everybody posted all of these Val Kilmer movies. Like Val Kilmer, rest in peace, Val Kilmer. We'll never forget you for this, that, and the other. Nobody said anything about this film, and I just I
Because
can't let it.
it's not the role that he's known for. It's just
It
not.
is it is
It's a good.
Jaws on land. That's what this fucking movie is. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's not the. It's a good movie. It's a solid movie. It's not a great
Yeah,
movie.
it's
It's a
highly
good.
entertaining, by the way. And
Yeah,
Michael
yeah.
Douglas is a good actor,
What's
man.
your number two, man? Let's move this along. Come on. What's your number two?
My number two is Heat.
That's my number two
Obvious.
as well.
Yeah,
Heat
I
is
was
one of
gonna
the best
say.
movies of all
I was
time.
just gonna say.
The
Obviously, it's
action
yours.
is the juice. I mean,
Yeah,
but
the cast
Val Kilmer's character in it is very subtle.
is
I
my
mean,
favorite character in
and
the
he
movie.
plays it, and that makes sense for you to say that. He's the least bombastic. He's a guy who has a lot of pent up anger and a lot of deep issues that stretch out into his marriage and into his work, and he is kind of the fuck up of the group in a lot of
Wild
ways.
card. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's not the worst, but when it's time to be about your business, Val Kilmer is about his business, and you put an AK in his hand, and he's a trained fucking killer, and it's pretty badass. And then his wife helps him get away at the end, which was cool and very unbelievable that he would get away, but he did, and good for him. And hopefully he's in whatever prequel sequel thing they're gonna do with Heat eventually. That character, what was his name, Chris, in the movie?
I haven't watched Heat in probably like 8 years, man. But
I've watched it more recently than that. I try to watch Heat at least once a year because that fucking movie.
I was thinking today when we were doing this, I was like, I gotta watch Heat, man. And it's funny because Jim Gaffigan makes the joke. I saw Heat, like Heat. Saw that 15 years ago. He's like, I want to talk about it now.
I want to talk about Heat all the time. Al Pacino is just amazing.
This is a movie, guys. If you haven't seen Heat, which if you haven't seen Heat, fuck off. But if you haven't seen Heat, go watch it.
Don't fuck off. It's okay.
But
Stay.
I'm just kidding. But when you do watch Heat, you're going to quote this film with people. It's just gonna happen.
She's got a big old ass.
Al Pacino's great in the movie. De Niro's great. The cast of this movie is.
It's one of the best movies of all time. Again, Kilmer's role is not as standout as other roles. It's not as standout as him as Jim Morrison.
Well, he's next to actors who were better.
Who are just and were at the top of their game, and Pacino, De Niro, and even Tom Sizemore is just on fire that entire movie. So
Tom
it's like
always pretty damn good.
Yeah, he is. But he's especially Tom Sizemore in that movie.
Yeah, we could do a Sizemore list, and we'll do it for all the dead actors.
Eventually, yeah.
Number one.
So yeah, the number one is Doc
film.
Holliday. Number one is Doc Holliday. Tombstone is one of my favorite movies of all time. Tombstone is
the best Western film ever made. It's close, but it takes second. And Doc Holliday, guys.
Kurt Russell and Val Kilmer together, dude, as Doc Holliday and Wyatt Earp. It doesn't get better than that.
Many actors play many memorable roles in this film, but his is the most memorable. Obviously, Doc Holliday. Everything he says.
Does Val Kilmer die in every one of these movies?
I don't think he dies. He doesn't die in Ghost of the Darkness. He doesn't die in the.
Well, I didn't pick.
I
didn't. We didn't have Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. Doesn't his character?
You just said he gets away in Heat.
Yeah, he does get away in Heat. That's the one for sure.
He doesn't die in Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
Okay, all right, very good. Just making sure. But and you know the best part of Tombstone to me is the relationship between. And I've read a lot of books on that era, on that exact thing, the Tombstone thing.
Well, Doc Holliday wrote a book for Wyatt Earp.
Yeah. Their relationship is so strong, and it just pulls on your heartstrings, you know. And he passes at the end of the movie, and Wyatt Earp makes sure to be there for that. And how much of that is true is up for debate. But what is true is that Doc Holliday, no matter how much he fucked up, Wyatt Earp was there to help him and pull his buddy out of a jam. And Doc Holliday would show up for Wyatt Earp if he was coughing up fucking blood. You know, he was dying, but he would put his life on the line for his friend. That's the best part about that movie to me, and that relationship between Doc Holliday and then obviously the cup, the fucking drunk as shit.
Yeah, the famous gunslinging scene. Yeah, and there's just so many lines.
I got
in this
two
movie.
guns. One for the both of you.
That's good. There's so many lines, Doc Holliday lines, that I just find myself stating, so even when it's not relevant in whatever context I'm using it in. It's just
Maybe the most quotable character of all time, bro.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And
Oh my God.
and he plays a drunk who's dying from tuberculosis, who's also the fastest gun in the West, and he does it all perfectly. I mean, he couldn't do it any better than he did. I would imagine the actors
just the wink at the
working.
OK Corral. Oh
I
my God.
imagine the actors working on set with Val Kilmer were just in awe.
Talking about this makes me want to watch Tombstone, which I try to watch once a year as well. I think I watched it kind of recently, but I'm gonna watch.
I did watch Tombstone recently. Yeah, I gotta watch Heat again.
God, that fucking movie is so good, dude. And yeah, Val Kilmer as Doc Holliday is one of the top 5 characters in a movie of all time, and Val Kilmer should be respected and appreciated for the work he did. That's why we wanted to do this. He's played a lot of characters in a lot of movies that we both have been big fans of. So I mean, rest in peace, man. And Tombstone will be a forever
God
classic.
Bless. God bless. Rest in peace and God bless. And I actually, when I was looking through
hell of an actor, dude,
his filmography, I have to go watch Val. The guy
I've watched that. It's good.
The guy filmed his entire
life. Yep.
He says on the film, I think I was the first person I ever knew who owned a camera.
And when the film was made, he already has lost his ability to talk.
No, I mean, there's a video of him stating that he owned a camera before anybody. He like a person, like not.
No, yeah, I know. I watched it. Yeah. No, I understand.
So,
I'm just saying when he made the film, he was already dealing. Okay. He was very deep in his sickness. Yeah.
So I got to go out and check that out, man, because Val Kilmer is one of my all-time favorite actors. It's not just because of how good he was. I just love the way he approaches every character, every role.
I don't know, man. As a kid born in the 80s, grew up in the late 80s into the 90s, Val Kilmer and Patrick Swayze, who also passed away tragic. Those were 2 guys that like I just fucking I loved. Listen, Val Kilmer played Batman. We didn't even bring up Batman. We didn't even do an honorable mention on Batman.
It was an okay.
It was the worst Batman, but I fucking loved that movie as a kid. I love that movie as a kid. I just did.
I don't know.
Forever. Jim Carrey as the Riddler and Tommy Lee Jones.
Tommy Lee Jones as Two-Face.
Yeah, that was the shit, dude. I loved it. It doesn't hold up, but he did a solid job playing Batman too. This guy played fucking Batman, and he just. I'm not saying anybody's not putting respect on his name, but put more respect on his name.
No, he did a good job as Bruce Wayne for sure. Mm-hmm. He really did.
So just tribute to Val Kilmer. Go watch Tombstone. Go watch Heat, and
watch Ghost in the Darkness. If you haven't seen it, watch that movie.
I haven't watched it in a while, man. I do like that. There's another movie I watched as a young man as well. It's a good movie, man. But it just didn't make my top 5, unfortunately.
Peace and love to Val Kilmer, guys. Rest in peace. God bless. And you know what? By all measures, it seems like everybody who worked with Val Kilmer really liked Val Kilmer. And I don't know if you know this, but after they did film Ghost in the Darkness, Michael Douglas became one of his closest friends, and they knew each other till the day Val Kilmer passed. So, obviously, guys, not a person that you hear about these actors that people just don't want to know after filming with them. Val Kilmer was a person who remained friends with the people who worked with him, which says he's probably a pretty decent guy too.
Val Kilmer was the shit, and Doc Holliday was a role model for me as a child. That's just the reality of it. So I had to pay some respect.
I sometimes wish Val Kilmer was Doc.
I sometimes wish Doc Holliday was my dad. As Val Kilmer as Doc Holliday as my dad.
But respectable list, man. And again, once again, Mad Mardigan, Willow, great role. No matter how the movie plays today, you were so far past. It's an old movie, guys.
The movie holds up. I've watched it recently. The movie holds up, man. Check it out. Watch it.
And then the guy who plays Willow was the leprechaun. He was everything. I don't
know why I'm blanking. Stephen Warwick. That's his name,
yeah. Which sounds like a Willow character, Warwick. But any fucking role that required a little person, that guy was there in the 80s and 90s, man.
Hey, guys, you said peace and love to Val Kilmer. Peace and love to everybody who watched, who's going to watch, who was in the chat. To Shorty for joining us spontaneously and providing such helping us provide such good content to everybody tonight. Great guests. Would love to have him back on. Love to get back on Bears country. It sucks because I work on Thursdays, so that becomes tough. It becomes tough to even watch their show, to be honest. But happy to have him on. Love the interaction. Love the insight. Brandon, you killed it tonight. I think we had a lot of fun here, and I hope everybody in the chat had a lot of fun. If you did, please hit the like button. Make sure you're subscribed if you're not already. Share it with a friend, and go watch a Val Kilmer movie. It'll make you feel good.
Same to you, Dustin. As always, a pleasure working with you, man. And you know,
except for when you cut me off when I was saying I'll see your speculation and raise your speculation. You pissed me off. Other than that, you did great.
Never ceases to amaze me, man, how much you come with it. I know you just finished a long shift. Yeah, I don't know how much time you have to prepare for this. You probably get right out of work and walk right into this. And
I make notes on my phone at work of shit I think about, but
yeah, still bringing it, man, for sure. Always a good show. And I think Shorty's right, and I think it's the dynamic of the fact that you and I, Dustin, have been friends for as long as we have. That's why,
bro, we were doing this while we were working in a warehouse across from each other.
Instead of working,
I was Memphis, you were Reno, packing them parts and just talking about movies, sports, everything. We've been practicing at this shit for fucking 15, 20 years damn near now at this point.
Haven't missed a beat either, man. It feels like we're having those conversations back there, you know.
Yeah, man, just making more money now, which is great.
Thanks for everybody who joined us, man. I know you probably have, but guys, like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell. We will be back on Saturday for the Northside 9. Kyle and Sean will bring you all which they just had a sweep, right? Just beat the Oakland A's. Woo! But
Oakland A's suck.
Yeah, they suck. Bats turned it on a little bit, guys. So they'll bring you kind of what you need to know about why.
Tucker's having an awesome season, so that's cool.
4 games in a row with a home run.
Yeah,
and
so check out the Northside 9.
Yeah,
they know a lot more about this shit than we do.
Successful in the last week,
because they played the A's is mostly the answer to that question.
We just broke that down. You don't need to see it.
That's good. No, don't. And then we got the Halatal hangover on Monday. Barely Theirs on Wednesday. Bare Minimum on Thursday. We're gonna be putting out more content as well. We're working on some things, so keep checking us out, man. And
April 24th.
Live draft party.
Yes, we do have a live draft show, guys. I'm sure Shorty wishes he could make it, but guys, come out. If you're anywhere in the area, come out to 102 North River Street. It's River Street
East Dundee.
East Dundee. We will be there, guys. We will break down.
Starts at 6 o'clock.
We will for sure break down at least the first 10 picks.
Has that been decided? Is Sean still pushing back on that?
I just did. Just decide that now. Here.
No, I feel like we've all been saying it, but Sean doesn't want to acknowledge it. He just wants to do like
majority
15
rules.
minutes. Yeah, no. I want to be on air while the Bears pick, man. I want us to break down every pick leading up to it and what that means for the Bears and what they're gonna do. And hopefully everybody wants to jump in and watch us. And
when the Bears are on the clock, we're all gonna predict. We're all gonna give our prediction when the Bears are on the clock.
Yep. That's going to be a lot of fun, guys. A lot of specials and everything. So come on out if you're in the area. I know.
Oh yeah. By the way, I don't want to forget to mention this. I would hate to say something about that live show. The stuff that Sean, Kyle, and a couple of friends to the network here, guys, have been able to do in regards to the stuff they're going to provide for the Bears care, the raffles,
for the charity, because
it is memorabilia.
It is a charity event too.
All for Bears care, guys. All for those less fortunate. So it's for a good cause. Get to talk Bears, get to watch the draft. It's going to be a good time.
Yeah, hell yeah. Sean's doing an awesome job. Kyle doing an awesome job. It's going to be a lot of fun. So everybody come out and check it out. And thanks to River Street, one of our sponsors, for hosting the event. It's going to be a blast. All right.
And on that note, Dustin, it's been a pleasure. Get yourself some sleep. I'm going to do the same, man. And we'll be back here next Thursday for another edition of The Bare Minimum.
Peace. Love. Bear down. Yeah.